Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, the world's biggest Harry Kane fan. And today we bring you Kaniki Answer Me, of course, joined by co-host Jack Kaniki and two regulars of the channel, Sean from Spurs Talk Show, who I will be dropping the link into his channel throughout the chat. He did say something last night that he kind of reminisced with me that when you do it at the end, most people tune out, so you don't get a fair plug. So we will be dropping it in throughout the show. And of course, Philip Brady, the Godfather. But look, Endom, Lord of the Fries, he just keeps giving. I mean, scoring, equalising against the bubble blowers. I mean, life is absolutely brilliant. London rivals everywhere just falling down, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good vibes today, I must say, Dave. It's really stormy over here, and I'm just watching Endom Burgers, kind of spoil a West Ham party, watching some Europa Conference League games as well. It's kind of interesting vibes this Thursday night, but looking forward to this one as well.
No, 100%. Shawnee, my man, how are you keeping, brother? Good show last night, by the way.
Thank you, mate. I wasn't making that point about that was just something I wanted to do. It wasn't about any other channels or anything.
Oh, no, but I'm saying you make a good point.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Just thought straight away.
No. Sorry, make a I was saying that you made a good point. And
okay, sorry. Yeah, I misheard you. I had the commentary on the West Ham thing in the background. I was just listening to Tangy saying, "Endom, bye-bye, West Ham. Endom, bye-bye, West Ham." Yeah, I'm good though, mate. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure to be with you, lovely people.
No, it's always a pleasure having you, man. So it is. And look, the Godfather, how are you keeping tonight, Philip?
Yeah, great. Absolutely. More wonderful now. And it's great to see the long-term plan that Spurs had to lend out in Dembele is now paid off.
He's finally been paying the investment.
I want to say Don Paratici done this on purpose, but I don't even think you can claim that. I'd love to say it. So. I really would.
But look, still see it. It's good to see it. I'm sure the West Ham fans are absolutely cursing Spurs at the minute now for lending them.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to get onto Twitter after the game. It's going to be an absolute cesspit. It's going to be so funny. But look, we'll see what Irish Hotspur Army are in the building with us, and then we'll hand it off to Jack. Adam McFarlane says, Conte talks with PSG. Apparently, he has a release clause. I don't think Conte want to leave. I actually think he's enjoying his time here. To be honest with you, I think he's enjoying working with Harry Kane and Sonny and that as well. I think he'll stay at him. I do. The regular says Cresswell red card. Absolutely buzzing. Absolutely buzzing. Mick Hermalock, good to see you in, my man. I hope you're keeping well. David Wish says Endom Bale scored. Toffee 20 says Endom Burger, big yourself up. Ronald 71 says, good evening, lads. Always a pleasure. Good evening, my man. It's always a pleasure. Rachel Vida says Endom Bale did do something good for Tottenham today. He did, finally, this is what we paid the 80 million for, or whatever it was, 60 million pounds or whatever. That's what we paid it for, Rachel. Big yourself up. William Pretty says, this is a question for everyone in the chat, and if we get a really good striker, should we turn Kane into a cam, but like a shadow striker one? Will everybody in the chat answer William Pretty's question? Look, for me, I think he's probably already playing in a cam position. I was saying the other day, on paper, he's a striker, but in reality, he's a creator. He's sort of like a cam, and on paper, Son is like in a cam winger position, but in reality, he's the striker, William. Island Life, big up. He says, Endom Bale, big up, Island Life. Hope you're keeping well. Wembley once this evening, guys. Typical, isn't it? The sales on Endom Bale turning to stars when they leave us. At least Dele has had the class to continue to be utterly useless with Everton as he was with us. Yeah. Look, I'll be honest with you. Lo Celso's had one good game with Villarreal, and that was yesterday. It's been blown way out of proportion. He's had one good game since he's got there. And look, same as Endom Bale with Leon, really. He hasn't really had many great games with them either, so I wouldn't be getting too carried away and saying they're turning into stars. One game does not make a star. Look, they both had one good game each at Tottenham. We didn't call them Tottenham stars, so let's not start calling them stars just because they've had one good team when they've left us. But big up Wembley one. I hope you're keeping well, my man. We have Kyle Patrick Vineyard. He's in the house. Big up, my man. He says, guys, hope you're keeping well, brother. Dermot's in the building, ladies and gentlemen. It's here. It's time for the main event of the evening. With one thing left to say, let's get ready to rumble. Big up, Dermot. I hope you're keeping well. He says, introducing the man who has green, white, and gold and Spurs in his veins. He is the one and only David Harry Kane, Irish Hotspur Harris. Come on, you Harris Army. And his partner in crime, the man with all the stats and has a way with his American charm, is the one and only Jack's son, Statsman Kaniki. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Dermot. Really appreciate the intros, my man. No matter the stream, he never fails. Absolutely love it. John N says, evening, guys. Looking forward to this. Keep up the great work. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. John N, really do appreciate it. And look, we're constantly working, my man. Even when we're not streaming, we're working. And look, we have a lot of plans for the summer and next season already in motion and stuff like that. So stay tuned, my man. We're not going anywhere. Dark Sun G with the super chat says, Blues will lose to Southampton and Gunners to Brighton. We will beat Villa. Brentford will beat Hammers and Everton. Beat a broken Man United. Come on, you Spurs. I predict a 3-1. Look, I've been doing a bit of research into the Villa game. I don't think it's going to be as easy as we think. Look, I know they've lost 3 on the bounce, Dark Sun G. But if you go back and look at the games where they've played all the top teams at home, they've only lost by 1 goal. It's been a 1-goal margin, usually 1-0. So they don't give up much on their home patch. So it's definitely going to be a bit of a trickier game. Look, Gunners and Brighton, I'd probably predict a draw there, to be honest with you. Chelsea, yeah, look, they might slip up against Southampton. I do think they'll edge it, but they might. There's potential there. Jack, what do you want to say, Dark Sun G?
Brentford beating the Hammers, like I said, could be one of the most boring games maybe of the season, between two very defensive teams. It might just be some sort of set piece that will probably go in. Both, sets of fans will be celebrating set pieces, type of game. But in Everton beating a broken Man U, I don't even know if Everton can beat a broken, version of themselves, really. I mean, they're really that bad. So I'm not sure about that, Dark Sun G. The rest of them, though, I definitely see it. Definitely see it, my man.
Big up, Dark Sun G, my man. I really do appreciate the support, brother. And he says, Gunners lost Tierney while we gained Sessegnon and Reggie. I mean, I'm absolutely buzzing, my man. We're spoilt for choice right here. We're like a 5-star hotel, and they're like a hostel. That's what it's like at the minute, Dark Sun G. Absolutely loving life. Kieran Toney out. That's what you want to see. Zoe's in the building. Good to see you. She says she's looking forward to this one. Harold T, good to see you, my man. Same as Stevie Fraser. He says, evening all. I'm not really sure what that stands for. Let me know, my man. Let me know what the abbreviation is in the chat, brother. Dark Song G says, Gunners will lose their next 2 games. Blues will too. Jack, do you agree with him?
All right, just typing something in the background. Gunners will lose the next 2 games. I don't know. Brighton, it's going to be a tough one, Dave. And I think after that, is it Southampton? Who do they have after that? I think it's one more team before Chelsea.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not
but Brighton, I don't know, Dave. If Harry Potter, maybe that'll be the one thing he'll do right for us this season, Dave, as get us a good result against the Scum.
I hope so. I do hope so. But big up, Dark Song G, my man. Really do appreciate the support. Look, Gunners, I don't think we'll get top 4. I don't think we will have to worry about them for too much longer. I know they do have some tricky games coming up. As far as Chelsea, look, if we get third, we get third. If we don't, I'm not really too pushed, to be honest with you. I'll just be happy to take 4 and get a Champions League spot, my man. Kevin K says, big up, Don Brady. Big up, my man. Scott Hynam says, big up to all. Jim Boxwell, Spurs till I die. NWA just won me £16. Thank you. Great show, lads. As always, Tottenham till I die. Well, enjoy that, my man. Get yourself a nice curry or something out of that, lad. Big yourself up. The Bottom Duo says it's a legendary panel. Big up the Bottom Duo. I hope you're keeping well. Carl Simpson says, evening, gents. Hope you're all well. Big up, Carl. Good to see you in. Derek Hutchinson, big up. David, Jack, Sean, and Philip. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Derek. Big up, my man. And we also have, Stevie Fraser says, in the Flat Cap Army, we trust, man. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Stevie. I really appreciate that, my man. Davey says, we are ranked 3rd on XG for this season. Liverpool number 1, City on 2. I have faith we will get top 4 or top 3. Absolutely love that, my man. We have Matt C. Big up, boys. Class show last night, by the way, Sean. We can beat Villa. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Matty C. Hope you're keeping well. We have Marlon Green says, big up, lads. Got my flat cap on in your honor. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Absolutely love it. Big up, Marlon. I bet you felt the wave of confidence coming over as soon as it hit that luscious hair, my man. Big yourself up. Mary W says, hi, everyone. We've got the Gunners this time. I really do hope so. Hopefully we can put St. Totteringham's Day on the back burner, Mary. Big yourself up. We've got Omar Edits. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Omar. And we have Ellie, Philip, the Don Brady, Sean Butler, King of the Walk Talk. Hey, guys, big up, lads, and big up that Harris Army. Good eve all. Big up, Ellie. I hope you're keeping well. I really do hope you're having a good Thursday and the weekend coming up. And make sure you get good sleep Friday for this quiz Saturday, Ellie. I need you in top form. I do. I need you in top form. Big up, Ellie. We also have Coach TPM. Says, come on, you Spurs. The bottom dude says, congratulations, Sean, on a great stream yesterday. Big up.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
And then William Kelly, Jack, I'll hand it off to you from here. There's William Kelly and Dark Sun G, and then you can take it away with your questions, lad.
William Kelly saying Lloris needs changing. Yes, he's been a great servant to this club, but his time's up. If we want progressing, we need a commanding keeper with good distribution. I think William Kelly's had this, very strong opinion, and he's voiced it very defiantly as well, Dave. I think on a fan show. Is Lloris needed for desperate changing? I don't think it's as big of a problem as people like to think. I feel like Lloris has been honestly faultless for such a long time that all of a sudden, the cracks are starting to appear. It's not like we should all really start jumping on the guy. But I would say distribution is a huge thing for me, William Kelly. I think every team becomes a lot better if your goalkeeper is really good with his feet. You keep possession more, you get yourself out of pressure more, you're able to ping it maybe to certain players that are wide open that maybe certain keepers can't see. Teams like Man City and Liverpool that put pressure on you makes your life a whole lot easier when your keeper can get you out of pressure. So I would say that is kind of the reason why maybe keepers like Lloris are kind of going to be, I don't know, kind of ancient or kind of, maybe of a bygone era, but certainly not someone I'd replace right away. But maybe just quickly, Philip, what are your initial thoughts on Lloris?
Well, I'm a huge Hugo Lloris fan, but I think ever since he joined the club, I nearly close my eyes when he starts playing football from the back with his feet. His distribution is not his strong point. Never was, never will be. That being said, I take your point there. Like a goalkeeper like Alisson is a huge addition to the club. A footballing goalkeeper who can pick a pass. And how many goals has he been assisted in? He's never dispossessed. Whereas Hugo has happened a couple of times, and as I said, not his strongest point. But that being said, he's there for another 2 years. And the important job between now and the time that he leaves is to get a successor in, get him in this summer and groom him. And I have my own idea who that should be, and I'll save that for later on. But I think we need to, Hugo has been a fantastic servant to Tottenham, unbelievable servant. And he deserves to go out with his head held high at the end of his contract. And let's hope that he goes with trophies under his belt, not just for France, but for Spurs.
Big up. Well, there you are, William Kelly. Will you wait a little longer and you can get mine and Sean's answers on it, my man, so you can. But big up, William Kelly. Really appreciate the support, my man. I know how strongly you feel about this. And Dark Sun G says...
saying Gooners, Brighton. The Gooners going to be facing Brighton, Southampton. I got that one, so maybe a bit of a pub trivia right there. I did get that one. Blues, Southampton, and Palace. Who gives the Gooners more trouble between Brighton and Southampton?
Southampton.
You think Southampton?
Southampton away. It's a tough place to play. Brighton at home.
Yeah.
I think Arsenal should.
Which one's more on vacation mode, do you think, Sean, between Brighton and Southampton? Probably Brighton, you would imagine.
They both are, aren't they? Neither of them have got much to fear and nothing to play for, right? So.
And both are down south, where the weather's a bit nicer as well. So vacation, feeling might already be, and the whole team might be in the whole dressing room. So
taking that sticker.
I'm going to say Brighton's going to be tougher, Dark Sun G, but Sean's gone Southampton. I have no logic behind mine, though. Absolutely none. But for Blues, Southampton, and Palace, I'd say Palace. I say Palace is going to be the tougher one. Maybe Vieira is just going to get another scalp, get another, big team, to show off for that Arsenal resume in the future with that theory that Dave has, Dark Sun G. Pick yourself up, though, my man.
Big up, Dark Sun G. Just got to say it to everybody, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you smash that subscribe button if you are new. Make sure you keep getting over every once in a while or take it in turns. Get over to Spurs Talk Show and smash that subscribe button. And guys, feel free to get your super chats in. with your comments, your thoughts on anything we are discussing. It is a great way to stop us in our tracks, get your comment read out, and a good discussion on it as well. And it is a great way to support the channel. Do not feel like you can't be included if you're not in a position to be able to do it, because you are. We will get all your comments up on screen, and we constantly read the chat as we go along. But look, Jack, I presume we can probably get straight into it and kick it off with Kai Super Chat. Maybe you can give an answer and then distribute your questions off the back of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Kai, I mean, I absolutely love it. You're doing the show for me, my man, because this is going to be the first question as well, of the business for today. How do you rate Sam Johnstone? He says, I find his inability to hold on to the ball a problem. If you notice his tendency to parry the ball instead of catching it, makes me nervous. Kai, I kind of just don't really know, because I feel like in order for me to really judge a goalkeeper, I need to watch them kind of game in, game out, for honestly a few games in a row, whereas maybe certain players, midfielders, wingers, feels like maybe you could watch 1 or 2 games of them, get a good picture, maybe what they have to offer. Whereas with the goalkeeper, it's sometimes just so hard to tell. And with Sam Johnstone, that season with West Brom, he didn't really have anything that was bad said about him. I think a lot of people actually really rated him because I think he had the most shots, kind of on target against him out of any keeper in the Premier League. He had the most saves out of any keeper in the Premier League. But there weren't a lot of people saying that, he made a lot of mistakes. A lot of people kind of thought that he held his own. So it makes me kind of think that he could be a good backup keeper for us. But the question that we're going to get onto later, Kai, is could he actually be a future keeper for us? Could he actually be one to replace Lloris? From what I could tell, I think he's actually a quality backup keeper, and I think he'd actually do quite well for us in some of those cup competitions, as well as maybe certain competitions that Hugo is probably maybe a bit too good for, maybe also just needs a rest from, that we usually would play him in. So I do like Sam Johnstone, but it is an interesting free transfer, that's for sure.
Big up, Kai. Really appreciate the support, my man. Absolute top man. But look, Jacko, let's give it away. Let's get Shawnee and Philip in.
Let's get them in right away with the Sam Johnstone thing. Philip, what are your thoughts on Sam Johnstone? I mean, is he good enough for you maybe to replace Lloris in the future? / maybe also, do you even rate him? Do you think he is a good backup keeper?
He's a good backup
keeper. Replacing
keeper.
Galini, maybe that's how you could measure it. Is he better than Galini, I guess?
I think I'm better than Galini. No, actually, I'm surprised that Johnstone is 29. I thought he was younger than that now, to be honest with you. And that would kind of worry me a little bit, because that means he should be at his peak now, and he's playing in the Championship side. So, okay, if he wants to come to Spurs, it would be as a backup. Who to get us? And I have a choice of a long-term replacement for Hugo. Whether we would ever get him is doubtful. And David, you know this guy. It's Gavin Bazuma.
Yeah. Oh, we love him. Love him over here.
Yeah, we're a big fan.
He will be my choice. He's young. He's ambitious. He is a Manchester City player, which is probably the biggest problem,
Unbelievable.
Would they sell to us? Would they sell to us? Or does he want to spend the rest of his life playing backup to the City goalkeeper, So maybe, but he's only 21 or 22 as far as I know.
Yeah.
And he's
19 or 20, yeah.
He's very young. So he'd be my choice, and it'd be great to have an Irishman in goal for Spurs again. It's a long time since Pat Jennings was there.
Yeah, a long time. It would be nice. I think he's a superstar, Bazuna. With his feet distribution, world class shot stopping, very good at it as well. He'd be a good long term one.
And how he develop under a manager like Conte, how Conte would bring him on even further. Because at the moment he's playing under other managers, not Pep Guardiola. He's playing under loan managers. You bring him into White Hart Lane or Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and I'll tell you that guy would be a superstar.
Yeah, to be fair as well, Philip, there's some young keepers over at Man City anyways, but Zach Steffen and Ederson, do they really need another one in Gavin Bazunu? I don't think so. I think that is someone that we should probably snap up. But to you, Sean, Sam Johnstone, take yourself back to last season in the Premier League. Did you really rate the guy? Did you maybe think that this is somebody that could, make it in the Premier League? Do you think he's good enough to be a backup for Lloris / do you even rate him enough to be someone that could replace Lloris?
Certainly don't think he's good enough to replace Lloris. He's 29 years old, as Philip was saying. He's he's got like a 7 in 10 shots on target saves ratio, right? Over the last 3 or 4 years, he's been at West Brom. He never played for Manchester United all the way back. He went on loan for like 8 years. At 29 years old, for me, like, look, anyone's good enough to be a backup as long as they're never needed. But the second that they're needed, then they're not backup anymore. Then you have to rely on them. And I don't want Sam Johnstone. I don't think he's good enough to be at Tottenham. Yes, he's better than Galini. But, you know, what are we bringing him in? If we're bringing him in, like, on a long-term deal with the idea that he's going to eventually phase Lloris out, then that doesn't excite me. That really worries me. And if we're bringing him in just to be a backup, you know, okay, that's fine for a year, but we need to figure out what the solution is, the long-term solution is, and Johnstone isn't it. And I'd like a backup goalkeeper that you have faith in. And I didn't see anything in Sam Johnstone at West Brom that was great. I certainly haven't seen anything from him that's remarkable this season as in the Championship either. You know, and the quality down there is lower again. So for me, look, the only benefits of the transfer is that it's quote unquote a free transfer. So, you know, it would be relatively inexpensive. And that Hugo Lloris has got a relatively strong fitness record, right? He's only ever been out with his dislocated elbow, and that was just a random freak accident. So, you know, hopefully if he does come in, you'll never need to use him. But I wouldn't be confident if he was in the first 11.
As maybe, you know, the Gazaniga, you know, maybe sort of a scale, you know, how do you think you would rank? Do you think he could be a Gazaniga sort of quality backup keeper? Maybe that's how we should judge him.
Yeah.
Is he good enough to be Gazaniga?
He's probably good enough to be Gazaniga, yeah. But this is the point. Like, why are we bringing? Gazaniga was never going to take over the number one spot.
Yeah.
Lloris, when Gazaniga was there, Lloris still had 5 years on his contract, right? So there was no need to be thinking about what happens at the end of. We've got 2 decisions to make here. We need to replace Galini because he's going to go back to where he comes from. But then in 12 months' time. At the very least in 12 months' time, or sorry, at the very worst in 12 months' time, we have to be thinking about the guy who's going to take over the number 1 spot. I'd rather be finding someone right now who is the future number 1 and bringing him in and putting him in the you know, as the backup and then bedding him in gently. And that to me is not Sam Johnstone. So I think you're papering over a crack, and I don't think it's necessary. I think we should go try a little bit harder. Don't just go for the first free transfer that's available. That seems like it's a good thing. Do a bit of work, study hard, find the right guy, and bring him in, and then go from there.
Would you rather, just last little follow up, Sean? Would you rather us, you know, sign some sort of star prospect, you know, kind of prodigy, maybe keeper that could be maybe not ready now, but decent enough to be a backup potentially?
Yeah, look, this is
bit
this
riskier
is
than a Johnston, I guess.
Listen, someone was saying on the show last night, Donnarumma's barely playing for Paris Saint-Germain, right? So maybe that was a mistake of a transfer for him. Now, that would be a guy that I would love to get all over right now, bring him in and then say, sorry, Hugo, you can just do a bit of coaching and we'll give you the 50-50 role. But I don't know where the talent is. I think Pope's a good guy, but I don't, you know, like I think most of us, with, you know, goalkeeping expertise is not really where we spend our time. So I don't know what the answer is, but I know what I don't want. And for me, Sam Johnstone probably isn't it.
All right. Well, Dave, thoughts on Sam Johnstone? You know, do you rate him? You know, is he good enough to maybe replace Lloris in the future? Anything that, you know, maybe needs to be added to the conversation here on Johnstone? Are you excited, you know, that Spurs are probably going to sign him?
I don't think they're bringing him in as a replacement, to be honest with you, as his long-term replacement for number 1. I think they're just bringing him in as a solid backup for a couple of years, or at least if, like, Hugo Lloris is 2 years. So even if they do go and sign what they think is Hugo Lloris's number 1 and it doesn't work out, you still have a sturdy and steady keeper there in Sam Johnstone. If that number 1 comes in and doesn't work out, you can put Sam Johnstone there. Look, Sam Johnstone, whether people like it or not, he's a very good shot stopper. And that's what your job is at the end of the day, is to stop the ball from going into the net. And you look at that season he had at West Brom, it was unbelievable. Even some of the close range shots he was saving were class. Look, in terms of Hugo Lloris as well, it's just you see a lot more mistakes creeping into his game this year than any other year. And I think that's why the question and the topic is starting to come up maybe. Look, me personally, I'd give him 1 more year as number 1. I would potentially be looking at taking the captaincy off him in the summer, though, to be honest with you, and looking to give it to somebody else. But I would definitely keep him for one more year, I think. And the reason why I say that is because I'd rather allocate the funds to that defence and that midfield and another striker rather than spend big money on a goalkeeper. But like I said, with Sam Johnstone, like you look at Chelsea, how much they got burned for Azpilicueta or Arrizabalaga, and there's other examples there as well. So I think even if Hugo Lloris does retire and we do find he's number one and you bring him in, if it doesn't work out, you've got a good sturdy keeper there in Sam Johnstone to get you through that period.
Philip, what do you think of this, though, from Chris? Would you rather have Dean Henderson if you had the choice? Because, Conte, he wants English keepers as, the backup / potential replacements for Lloris. Would you rather have Dean Henderson if you had the choice?
Well, okay, if you take David's plan that keep Hugo for another season and get him going, then I still stick with Bazuma as the main goalkeeper, but Henderson would be a good backup. Now, whether he wants to go from backup to backup, that's another thing. Mm-hmm. Why would you leave Manchester United to come to Spurs have the same role? One thing that might help us in the summer, if we qualify for the Champions League, it'll be a lot easier to get somebody in than it would be if we weren't in the Champions League. Then we'll see who's available. I know Conte probably wants an English goalkeeper, but Paratici's no doubt scouring the continent for some gem that he can get fairly reasonably cheap and it was good. Now, I'm not a big one on continental goalkeepers, so I couldn't really, say who we'd go for. But Henderson would be a fairly good option, but whether he's a good enough replacement, he's not really getting the game time at United to prove himself that much. He's a good goalkeeper, but it's a tough one. Like I think we stick with Hugo for at least another year and see how things pan out and see where we go. But it's going to be a huge decision because you can replace. You have 2 centre halves, you have 2 fullbacks, you have 2 or 3 midfielders. You've only got 1 goalkeeper, and it's a huge choice. It's a big decision to make.
I think that's the problem with going after English keepers, if you ask me, is that they're kind of all weirdly and ambiguously kind of the same sort of level, if you ask me. I think Pickford is kind of the same level as Pope. Johnson's sort of the same level as probably Henderson. You kind of just look at all of them. They're kind of just inconspicuously kind of the same kind of keeper, the same sort of level. And especially Nick Pope, maybe out of all of them, the best shot stopper, but certainly not a keeper that is good with his feet at all. I would say probably one of the worst in the league, in fact, in that regard. So it's not really an easy choice when it comes to getting English keepers. But Debatum Duda saying Brandon Austin, though, looks good. We should definitely loan him out next season. Excellent prospect. I've heard this from Debatum Duda before, that he is someone that we should be holding the spot for, keeping a seat warm for in the future, Brandon Austin. Dave, I wish they were doing the under 23s kind of live streams this year, so we would actually really know what Debatum Dude is talking about. But do you know anything about Brandon Austin? I feel like I think he could be someone that's good enough for the future. I know he's extraordinarily young, but I know nothing about him, and he might be better than Alfie Whiteman, is probably what I would imagine.
I'm almost sure he was on loan in the MLS.
Scandinavia as well.
Orlando City. And he was in Scandinavia the season before that, Johnny. Yeah, he was out with Viborg or something like that. But in both teams, I think with Viborg he only played like 15 games, and then with Orlando he only played like 4 or 5. So he hasn't played much, and to get him to come in and to ask him to be number 2, I think is huge pressure on him, to be honest with you. But you've also got Alfie Whiteman, who I think is probably in the pecking order before Brandon Austin.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I'll keep an eye on him, Debatum Duda, but it sounds like he might be better than Alfie Whiteman. Sounds like maybe he's someone that we could probably keep an eye on for the future. Perhaps our own Gavin Bazunu, but I would say Gavin Bazunu has some level for the age that he is, and considering also the experience that he gets playing at the Ireland international level as well. I mean, I would say, just like what Philip's been saying, kind of my only answer every single time.
He's a former Chelsea schoolboy, so he is Brandon Austin.
Yeah. I'll say another thing for Gavin Bazuma, that his understudy for Ireland is the guy from Liverpool. What do you call him? Kelleher.
Yeah.
You know, and who's getting more game time at Liverpool probably than Bazoum has ever got at Man City. So it just shows you how good a keeper he is, you know.
Yeah.
I think Man City will deal with us, though.
That's the thing. That's the
That's no
thing, you
question.
know.
Over a
Yeah.
3 million, 5 million pound keeper, maybe they
But
might.
what's his name wouldn't take the call. Like, allegedly, the way that Pep said it, you know, Levy didn't answer the phone when it rung about Harry. Maybe Daniel Levy makes a phone call towards the Sheikh, and that also just goes unanswered a few too many times.
Same thing, yeah.
Over a 6 million pound keeper, that'd be nice. I'd like to see that level of pettiness. I'd like to know that it exists.
Just to round off the ball and do a super chat, though, I do think, look, Brandon Austin, he's not ready. He needs to be loaned out more.
The MLS is not a bad place to go, I would say, you know, as a loan, you know, and then maybe probably some sort of German club maybe next, or, you know, something in Liga, you know, I would say maybe something a bit higher profile from there. To bottom do though, again, saying I'm worried about Skip. He is such a good player. So was Sensi, who couldn't handle Conte's rigorous training at Inter. Hope Skip is okay next season. Yeah, well, that was a major throwback. I forget what his first name was, Marco Sensi or something Sensi, who was like basically that season under Conte, and then just the following season just could barely even step onto the pitch without falling injured or without you know, getting some huge, you know, time away, you know, needing surgery or whatever. The guy just absolutely fell off. But I don't think that's happening to Skip, to be honest. I think it's just some sort of groin injury that seems to be, you know, very, very, very difficult for him to get over with.
He's recovered from the groin injury. It's now his pelvic. He's now got a pelvic issue, which is plaguing him now. And judging by the press conference today, Jack, you know, Conte was saying that he wants him back before the end of the season, and he's encouraging Skip and the medical team to get him back before the end of the season. But from what he was saying, it kind of sounds like that they don't think he will be back before the end of the season.
Would he get into the team if he was back?
That's jaw dropping to hear that. I mean, this would be more than 3 months then. This would be like a 4 or 5 month injury then, you know, basically.
Because he was saying like with Tanganga it's different because he has a knee problem and stuff like that. So
that needs surgery. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure what's going on, whether Skip doesn't want to rush himself back or, you know, whether the medical department don't think he's ready, but Conte wants him back. I'm not sure. But yeah, he was just saying today that now it's a pelvic issue. So it's a different injury altogether.
Big up to bottom dude. I'm by what Dave has just told me to bottom dude. I am very scared. That is just, I don't like to think about it that way. It's been 4 months. It could be 4 months, 5 months. That's ridiculous. Just an injury at first that we were told would only be like 2 to 3 weeks. It's just dragged on and dragged on and dragged on. But big up, my man. Dark Sun G saying Johnston has a Winks replacement for homegrown, in my opinion. Yeah, I think it was identified that we would go for an English keeper for homegrown reasons as well. So not a big surprise there, Dark Sun G. Is he going to be the new Harry Winks, you know, kind of vibe of a player? I really doubt it. I think he's a bit better than that. He seems like a different sort of kind of guy, Dark Sun G. But definitely appreciate.
He's not Winks' replacement. Harvey White would be that.
Yeah, but then
or Ollie Skip is that even. Ollie Skip is that. Ollie Skip is Winks' replacement.
It's always just sad to say Winks' replacement. You know, it's just like a scary void, you know, to be replacing. Dark Sun G says Matasar is a replacement for Galini, in my opinion. I think Matasar is just probably like a Brian Hill sort of kind of transfer of some kind, like some player that will be worth 60 million, 70 million come the future, just some sort of asset kind of player that's always been available. Who knows? Maybe just a quick, you know, thing to Sean. Do you think maybe Spurs with the Matasar and kind of Hill signings going for kind of that Chelsea sort of kind of route? Because Chelsea did that with Mo Salah, you know, De Bruyne, a bunch of players that were, you know, young talents that they kind of always had available that they could always sell for 20, 25 million if they needed to.
Yeah, the problem is selling 20 when you pay 35 million for Brian Hill and then you sell him for 25 million after letting him out on a loan for a year. Then it's bad business.
We paid 25 for him, or do you mean on top of the Lamella?
Yeah, with whatever value was left in Lamella, you know. Listen, I don't know. You know, whatever his name is, Sarr, the guy's going to come in the summer. I can't imagine he's going to be, you know, any first teamer anytime soon. So he'll probably get loaned straight back out again. Or
you think it'd be like a Winks where he might just be coming on in the last 15, 20 minutes of games, next season? Or do you think
Maybe.
he'll be
I hope so. I really hope so. I hope he's good enough. I really do. I hope he comes in and he suits the Premier League. It's one thing that's become very apparent is, there's horses for courses, right? And it's not often spoken about. People think, not to get off the topic, but, when people are saying, Kulu and Bentancur were rejects from Juventus, or when you look at Lo Celso, who's done really well since going back to Spain, or Brian Hill doing very, very well in Spain right now, Dembele maybe doing okay in France. Like, there's definitely players that suit certain leagues and suit certain styles of football. And I've got no idea what the future holds for this guy, Sarr. But it would be amazing if we finally signed a young kid who came in and surprised us all to the upside, because we've had too many disappointments with buying these youth players over the last sort of 3 or 4 seasons, spending a lot of money and seeing relatively zero in return, either in the outgoing sale or in what they do on the pitch. So I'll keep my fingers crossed on the man Sarr, see what happens.
I hope he plays some sort of Winks role, next season, where he's playing in the last 15, 20 minutes of games. And then also maybe subs in for, the Pacho State Ferreira matches as well. The smash.
Well, hopefully we're not playing any more of those after this season.
Yeah.
Hopefully next season our Wednesday nights are filled with Madrids and Barcelonas and all that sort of stuff.
Right. Yeah, that'd be nice. Actually, a bit better, competitions, for him. The Smasher saying Bodo Glimt just won again against Roma. Mourinho in the mud. Too bad he's not in the mud, over there. He's over in the artificial turf that they play on over in Norway. So he can't be stuck in the mud, despite the weather that I saw. He would have been stuck in the mud had it been normal grass. But yeah, Mourinho yet again, being outshined, by the Norwegian, full, blown kind of counterattacking tactics. I will say it looks absolutely miserable to go play up there in every way. So I'm not surprised that the Romans, don't seem to enjoy it too much. But Mourinho has turned it around recently, I will say, over at Roma. They seem to be on some sort of win streak, but who knows? Maybe they'll dip out of the Conference League and neither Spurs or Roma will win it. But big up the Smasher. Really do appreciate it, my man. Alrighty then. I think, we've covered pretty much everything Johnstone related. So move on to maybe this sort of Eriksen thing. I got into kind of a big debate with Mike Hotspur-Hutzler about it, because I kind of just thought the Eriksen deal, for me, I just don't really take him back, because if I had 5 transfers basically to work with, which I think is being a bit generous, to be honest, but if I had 5 transfers to give Antonio Conte next season, I'm not sure if Eriksen would be one of them. But Philip, prove me wrong. Do you think Eriksen would be someone you would take back actually on a free? I mean, he'd be taken back on a free, might want to come back and prove something. Would you take Eriksen back?
No. I love the guy to bits, and I'm delighted to see him playing back again after what happened to him. But I don't believe in sentimental transfers either, which is what it would be. There'd be an element of sentiment in it, and I don't think he fits into Conte's system. And B, I'd rather he went to a club where he get regular football, which I don't think he get at Spurs. Okay, he's not beyond the realms of possibility. Conte might bring him back in as a squad player, or just an impact sub or something like that. But if I was a manager, no, I would. Regretfully, no. I mean, I'm not. No offense to Christian Eriksen, he's been a brilliant servant to Spurs, except for the last year that he was with us. But I think let's remember him for the good days, and not for him to come back and maybe not enhance his reputation by A, not playing, and B, not playing up to the standard that he did when he was with us. And I wish him well in the future, wherever he goes.
Philip, as a follow-up, I mean, it feels kind of like, a lot of people would take back Eriksen, though. So, I feel like you and I are kind of in maybe a lonely island.
No, I mean, let's face it. Personally, I wouldn't take him back. If he came back, I would back him to the hilt like I back every Spurs player. But I don't think it's a good move to bring him back.
I feel the same way. Sean, how do you feel about, this Eriksen situation? Are you kind of like Philip and I, where, if you really were trying to be savvy and smart about things, he really wouldn't be your first choice? Or are you kind of like maybe other people where you can't find Christian Eriksen likability, just everywhere?
I'd have him back.
Players like him.
Yeah, I'd have him back. But you said if we only had, the question was if you have 5 transfers only.
Yeah, like because when you really think
he's
about
not in-
summers, usually what's like 3 to 5 transfers that are usually made, in a given
Yeah.
summer. So
So
would
I
he
think
be
that
one of those 5 for you if you made 5?
no, because I think that you need a new left wing back, a new
Yeah,
right
so
wing back,
it's only
probably
like
2
one
centre
position there.
backs, and someone in the midfield. But I feel like you could do better than Christian Eriksen for an all round role in midfield that you would need. I would still take him back, but if we only had 5, he wouldn't be in it. But if there was if we could expand and go, okay, now we've got the right wing back, left back, the 2 centre backs, and then we've got a striker or whatever, someone up there. And we still got space. We still got space in the squad. Then absolutely, Christian Eriksen to come in, especially if he's on a pay as you play, where you or performance related bonuses, just so that you can have an option. He doesn't naturally fit into the 3-4-3. I'm not even really sure if he naturally fits ahead of the players we already have in a 3-5-2. But there are going to be some games in the season when the formation isn't working and the other team's being stubborn, or we're 2-0 down or whatever, and we need to go to a back 4, a 4-2-3-1. There's space for Eriksen in that squad, in that lineup. And so for me, bringing him back it's not about sentimentality. I take the point, but I think he offers value. I think he's a class player and you could get him for reasonable money. But I just think if you have only 5 spots, there's 5 more important players that I would focus on before him.
At his stage in his career, though, considering, the drop off that he did have, could he be somebody that you could just kind of just add on? Like, it's not like going to take a huge, massive, hit to the wage bill or, to the finances. Could you just toss in, a Christian Eriksen, if you needed to?
Yeah, I think you could get away with him for, 85.
Not like a Dembele, I guess, is what I'm asking on a free,
Yeah. Dybala's going to cost you more money than you would imagine. Even if he's on a free transfer, you're still going to probably pay 70% of whatever the transfer costs would have been had you been paying the selling club, because you're going to give it to the agent. You're going to give him it in signing on fees. He's going to demand more wages because there's no transfer fee, and then performance related. So it's the myth. It's a myth to say that they're free transfers. They're not. If you look at some of the historical data on it, they're like 60 to 70% of the costs of a normal transfer still baked into free transfers anyway, just in a different format. So yeah, like if you're looking at Dybala, that's a massive.
Maybe not as big of one of those. Maybe Eriksen's is kind of just a bit more of a kind of minor kind of a fee.
Yeah, 100%. Because I think you could just in the negotiations with Eriksen, you could be saying, look, mate, you've got your health issues, you've got you haven't played a lot of football. Blah 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 blah. So I think that you could probably justify getting him on a relatively inexpensive transfer, and I'd be all for it. But like I said, I think that there's more important players and positions and longer term planning that we need to do. And Eriksen would be someone that would be a nice option, but not. He wouldn't be starting every week, and we want to be improving the first 11 every week. So for me, there's more important things to focus on.
Good answer there, Sean. To bottom Duda saying Conte demands a lot from his midfielder, so I'm not sure if he fits. It was different over at Inter. He played as a deep-lying sort of playmaker. Dave, do you agree here with the bottom Duda? Maybe what Conte wants from his midfielder now is not exactly what Eriksen could really provide. How do you feel about it? Is the bottom Duda right here? Do you think like that Eriksen of the past over at Inter is not really the Eriksen that we could get?
Look, I've changed my mind on Eriksen. Look, it's going against everything. It's going against what kills me the most is the way he left. Right? It's the way he left Tottenham. Look, he down tools. He was absent for about 20 plus games, and it wasn't good, and it really pissed me off. But look, he'll be on a free in the summer. I know, not free, but free, right? I do get what Sean is saying. They're not technically free, but we call them free transfers.
Yeah.
But look, for me, this is a guy that'll come in, and I would bring him in on a year's contract. Let me tell you why is because for me, you have Skip who'll be a like for Højbjerg, and you need someone that's a bit of a like for Bentancur who can get on the deep, who can get on the ball deep, brave, find Harry Kane, find Son, find Kulu, and Eriksen can do that. And for me, you're getting a midfielder that is Premier League proven. And if we want to challenge next season on all fronts and put our best foot forward in all competitions, I think this guy could come in and do a job for us. It's not like you're bringing in a Papamata Sarr or another player and you're gambling. You know exactly what you're going to get, and to be able to improve this squad and help out for different and have a like for Bentancur if he does get injured next season. I think it would be ideal for 1 year. And plus, you're not really upsetting the harmony of the group either. The players like him. He gets on with the Spurs players. I think it would be a no-brainer. But I will hold my hands up. I have changed my mind on that. You would have asked me months ago before I seen him play for Brentford. I would have said no. But he has surprised me of the level he's got back to.
Do you think any other teams though of our stature would be competing for his signature? Could you see Man United? Would Man United want him? If we're aiming for top 4 now, would Chelsea or those guys wouldn't want him, would they?
I see Newcastle going for him. I see Newcastle going for him. I see any sort of team that's flirting with the Europa Conference League, sort of places, or the Everton Cup, as I like to call it. Those sort of areas.
I only want him purely in. I only want him purely in as like competition. I don't see him starting. I don't see him nailing down a starting spot. But in terms of cup games, or if game was over early enough and you want to take Bentancur off, I would much rather bring on a Christian Eriksen than a Harry Winks. And that's where I'm coming from with it. And on that basis, just because he's Premier League proven, he's friends with a lot of the Tottenham, our best Tottenham squad, our best players. I think rather than take the gamble and spend money on someone that might not hit the ground running, I think Eriksen is a sure thing. Look, if they're willing to put the big bucks into centre midfield next year, then no way do I want them. But if it's going to be, if they think they have enough with Bentancur, Højbjerg and Skip, and it's going to be a bit of a gamble player like an Amrabat or somebody like that, I'd much rather take Eriksen.
Let me, Philip, I just want to kind of let me know what you would think of this, because my kind of thought process behind not taking him, and I kind of want to know what the bottom Duda would think too. But over at Inter, I feel like people are kind of, forgetting about how, what it took for Eriksen to get into that Conte side. It wasn't something that, was super easy. It's not like he fit in seamlessly. At one stage, I do even remember someone over at The Guardian that was kind of a Serie A sort of expert, kind of saying what's going on between Eriksen and, Conte. So I feel like if we really do recall, there was actually a bit of a rough period with Eriksen and Conte. Eventually, Eriksen seemed to, maybe give in to what Conte wanted from him, and maybe also as well, Conte kind of gave in to what Eriksen can provide. But maybe we also kind of forget that. Do you feel like, Philip, that Eriksen doesn't exactly fit really what Conte really wants?
And I think that Conte's experience with Eriksen at Inter, whatever went on between them or whatever didn't go on between them, will probably color his thinking whether he wants him back to Spurs again. Does he want to go through it all again?
He said it though, didn't he? He said it like about a month ago. He said, "I'd love to work with Eriksen again. It'd be fantastic."
He did. But
is he going to say he doesn't want to work with him again?
No, I don't think he'll ever come out and say that now. But I think that he's been diplomatic there. Maybe he's been diplomatic. He's saying that knowing well that if in the background of if Eriksen's agent rang up Paratici and said, "Listen, we'll do a good deal to get Eriksen back at Spurs," I think Conte would veto it. Quietly veto it. And I'm not knocking Eriksen. I love the guy to bits, but I just don't think that, there's a saying in football, never go back.
Yeah.
And I think this is probably the prime example of where it should be administered.
Also, with this not emergence, but like this galvanized Harry Kane, where he's more than happy once again to kind of step back and do the creative role, where he can also bang in 20 goals in a season whilst doing that creative role.
Yeah.
Do we need an Eriksen anymore, or could we put the money into getting a striker and then using Kane wherever we want him? We could use him in the 9 role or the 10 role. Like, is there a need for Eriksen if you have Harry Kane that can drop deep anyway?
Yeah. I feel like Harry Kane is filling the Eriksen role. I think it's even sort of a joke. Because a lot of people say, "Oh, we haven't replaced Eriksen," and I think kind of some people's joke is like, "Well, Kane kind of replaced Eriksen."
My worry about what Kane is doing at the moment is he's great, it's brilliant, it's magnificent, but will he be able to get away with it next season when teams adjust their tactics to deal with him?
I think
You
he's
know?
so smart. He'll figure it out. Just when they're starting to figure him out, he's playing 4D chess. He'll go to another level and do something else.
And maybe
Probably
Conte as
will.
well. Like Conte might know that, they'll do something against it, you could say.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good point, to be fair, Philip. But I might say that Kane sort of has replaced Eriksen. My other feeling is that if we are going for someone like an Eriksen, I know we want to go back to what we know. And there is that good argument that Dave made that, right, we know what we're getting with Eriksen. Whereas with every other transfer, usually there is that bit of risk, whereas that sort of unknown. Even with Kulusevski, there's that bit of the unknown, when they do come over. But I feel like there are other Eriksens out there, Philip. What do you think? I think there are other Eriksens that we just obviously don't know about.
That's what our scouting network should be, reporting back on. But the thing about it is, like, we're taking Eriksen back, right? He's not the Christian Eriksen that left us for a number of reasons. One, he had that horrific episode during the World Cup or during the European Championships, which no matter how much you paper over the cracks, it's got to affect him physically. He's probably not as fit as he was, purely because of this pacemaker or whatever he's got in, So I just don't see him ever reaching the levels he reached with us before. And as you say about replacement Eriksen, as I said, there is. I'm sure there's players in the lower leagues in England that we should be scouting out to take in that maybe could be groomed into that role. Because what I see Levy doing is not wanting to pay a fortune to buy. What am I trying to say here? To buy a fully fledged central midfielder who's already probably going to cost 50 or 60 million. He's not going to do that. Mm-hmm. He's going to go for, I won't say a yellow pack option, but he's going to go for someone that you probably get for 3 or 4 million and groom them up, And we've done it in the past, and we've not the central midfield now, but we've either brought them up from the likes of Oliver Skip, who's been with the club since he was 5 years of age, Is our scouting system not up to scratch? If that's not up to scratch, then we've got to have the academy has got to bring through players.
Well, the
academy's brought through some good players, but for the amount of money that's spent in our academy and the facilities they have, are they bringing through enough?
No. We never have done.
No,
Yeah, I remember back when I started supporting Spurs back in whenever it was, the 60s. Spurs were a buying club. You very rarely saw a player coming in up through the ranks. Now, it did happen on occasion, but you look at the team that won the double. They were nearly all bought in. Blanchflower was bought in. Greaves wasn't double, but Blanchflower was bought in. Bobby Smith, Cliff Jones, they were all brought in. And if you were a reserve at Spurs, the most you could hope for was the odd occasion to get a game in the first team. But most of them were just sold off to lower league teams and you never heard of them again.
I would say we're still a buying club sort of now, Philip, when you look at it. Most of the players that we have, except Kane, that are our best players, or we all know we had to get from elsewhere, where you do look at some examples, and I know not every club is really the same, and there are some that are good examples and some that are bad examples, but you look at some of the bigger clubs in the top four even, they do have some of their best players are from the academy. The Reece Jameses, the Mason Mounts of the world over at Liverpool. They have a few that are coming about that are, going to be some of the best at theirs. Even Man City with Phil Foden and examples like that.
Well, the one I've got a big hope for in the academy is that, well, he's not in the academy, he's brought in from Wigan, is Alfie Devine.
Yeah.
I'm watching him closely now to see where he gets in, because he could be a real good player for us. Yeah. As could Dane Scarlett. Yeah. And again, how patient are they going to be? Are they going to hang around for years waiting to get a spot? Or are they just going to come to the end of their contract, refuse to sign a new one, and get sent off to play for Scunthorpe or something? Because that's what happens.
They get impatient around 19 or 20. I think that's when they probably start getting impatient, because they probably start getting a bit of that clock, in their head, thinking they need to be doing something by a certain stage. My feeling is that we probably do need to be doing a whole lot more with the academy, getting a lot more through soon. But we did see this year, and Dave and I did talk about it, I think, on a Can You Answer Me back then, where they have completely wiped away the old scouting system and are going with an entirely new one that's a bit more updated, a bit more modern. So maybe we'll see the results of it.
I just wonder if the likes of Papa Matasar being brought in to allow and free up the likes of Harvey White, Alfie Devine to go out on loan properly, so that we do have adequate cover if we need it. And like, I wonder, do we keep Troy Parrott this summer and allow Dane Scarlett to develop?
Well, I think Troy Parrott will probably go out on loan again. But just when you mentioned loan players, I read somewhere during the week where the Spurs are up in arms with Charlton over the way they treated Niall John. He went on loan there in January and has not had 1 minute of first-team football since he went there. Yeah, and that I find is scandalous. He should have just brought back to the club, you know. So Troy Parrott's doing very well at MK Dons. He scored a cracker of a goal the other night.
Yeah, he's starting
to hit them in now. And that goal for Ireland last week now will be a huge confidence booster for him. And while he'd probably go out on loan next season, I would not be a bit surprised if he was kept at the club for next season.
Yeah, we might get into that a bit later, Philip, if we have the time for it. Dark Sun G saying, if we can get a different midfielder that can kick in a free kick, then I wouldn't take Eriksen. However, if we can't, then I would at least take him for this reason. I did say earlier, Sean, that, we've replaced Eriksen, with Kane, but Kane cannot really get it over the wall like a lot of players in this team.
I think when it comes Kane is practicing for his NFL career. He's putting it over the bar.
Yeah.
He needs to start getting it over the wall if he has a future as an NFL kicker.
Madness to me.
What are your thoughts, Sean? I mean, that is, to be fair, out of all the summer transfers, we need somebody that we can know that we can actually have trust in that can take a free kick.
Eric Dyer can take a free kick. For the life of me, I do not understand.
He hits the bar politics. Every time.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take that. At least it gets you out of your seat. It's for me, it's like there's politics in everything in life, in every organization, everything. There's always people that want to throw their weight around a little bit. But for the love of God, I don't understand why Harry Kane. I think there was a statistic that if he hits one more free kick into the wall, it's the most free kicks ever taken by one player without getting a free kick on target in the history of football, or some mad stat like that.
He's got to make sure he takes all the stats before he retires. He's got to take all the records, lad.
Yeah, well, that's a record that, whatever. I guess all records are good on some level. No, I just feel like
have to be on them.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's got to hold that. Someone's got to hold the baby. I think that it's madness to me that somebody at Tottenham hasn't said, hold on a minute, man. How many did it take to for you to go, all right, I'll hand that over to Eric or to Sonny.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Brian Hill could take a free kick as well. I know he's not here at the moment, but early on in the season, he was. He never got, and maybe that's correct. He doesn't get his chance, but there's probably half a dozen players out there that are in the Tottenham squad that are capable, but certainly Eric Dyer and Sonny are. And it's madness to me that they haven't. So this idea that we need Eriksen just because we need a free kick taker, we don't need a free kick. We've got a free kick taker. He's just not allowed to take the bloody free kicks. And it's very
even when Eriksen did take free kicks, though, a lot of them were shite as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
He couldn't even beat the first man from a corner.
Yeah. I feel like we've all had the courage to tell our friends, they've had too many. I don't know why some of these players don't have the courage to tell Harry Kane he's had too many free kicks. Too many kids. Seems like
have some water, Harry. You've had one too many.
Harry, just sit down, take a rest, take a breather. It's okay. We're gonna have Eric take this one. Have Eric drive you home. We'll have Mr. Dyer drive you home.
A little bit of toast. Soak up that free kick mess.
Pick up Dark Sun G, though. Pick up Dark Sun G.
Yeah,
I think Sean's little breakdown is a good answer there. You shouldn't bring in a player just to get free kicks. Moondog saying good evening, lads. Big up, Moondog. Good to see you, my man. Still waiting on the package, brother. I'm checking it every single day. And I will say, it's getting closer and closer. I feel like it's getting closer and closer, my man. Big up, Moondog.
Big up, Moondog. What an absolute legend. It's good to see you, my man. Big up.
And then a massive one from Ellie here saying, this is a down payment to see you and Jack David back where you belong, sitting next with me at the White Hart Lane, and want to hear Jack scream Højbjerg's name and break my other eardrum. I want to see the emotion on both their faces. You walked again so heartwarming. Really beautiful, Ellie. I must say, actually, do apologize. I probably do owe Alli, probably a few less decibels maybe on some of those Højbjerg screams that I did have. But the Højbjerg fan club was alive and well, Alli, so we had to get it, out as strong as possible. But really, really, really generous, Alli. Dave, anything to say?
Yeah, look, Ellie, do not worry. Myself and Jack, we will be over there next season. I've told Jack now he has to try and do it once a season, to get over. And Jack's Højbjerg scream was pretty loud, to be fair, when it was announced he was starting over the Toney. Pretty loud. You probably got a burst eardrum as well. But look, Ellie, it was an emotional day. It was a great day. I mean, it's the best atmosphere I've ever sampled at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The place was absolutely rocking. And to see us beat West Ham at home, it's something I'll never, ever, ever forget. And I really do thank you. And it's all down to one person, and that is you, Ellie. So I really, really do appreciate even getting the legend signatures and then getting them, giving them to the Oulad and stuff like that, and making him happy and all. That's all because of you, Ellie. So I really, really do appreciate everything you have done for myself and Jack. I really do. You're an absolute top lady, and really do appreciate the size of the donation.
Really
You're too good to myself and Jack. Way too good. Really, really
way too generous, Alli. But I would say maybe this summer, Dave, you and I have that big phone call, and we'll figure out the next, big pilgrimage for Dave and I to go see you over there, see the Højbjerg fan club, meet again. Maybe it might be in March again. Who knows? Maybe we'll just make it a March sort of tradition. Maybe that might not be a bad idea. But big up, Alli. We'll have that phone call, and like David said, definitely going to make it a yearly tradition for sure.
Yeah, big up, Ellie. And tomorrow I'm going to go off and, read my big Tottenham book with all random stats and stuff from the past gone by, so that we can get a good run on the quiz. So big yourself up, Ellie. And also, she'll be on next Thursday if you can answer me. Big up, Ellie.
Big up, Ellie. Looking forward to that, actually. Looking forward to that. Haven't had her on in a while for that, but big up, Ellie. Really do appreciate it again. Question in here from De Bottom Duda saying, question for the panel. Who would you get if you had to select between Eriksen and Dani Olmo? This is exactly what I'm talking about, De Bottom Duda. I think there are other Eriksens in the world. If we just open our eyes a little bit, there are plenty of them knocking about. I know we want to go back to what we know, but if we just maybe take that bit of that risk, I think you can find yourself another Eriksen that's 6 years younger with a lot of potential and also something maybe to prove. I would take Dani Olmo personally, but Dave, who would you take?
Christian Eriksen. Don't know much about Dani Olmo.
Out Dani Olmo.
I take half the RB Leipzig team. They're
they know what they're doing.
Amazing.
Over there.
Is that guy Guardioli?
Guardiola, the guy that got from Zagreb.
Yeah,
he's good.
6'4", yeah.
Eriksen.
RB Leipzig got an amazing team, so I'll take Dani Olmo.
Okay. Big fan of the RB Leipzig Academy, Sean. Didn't know you were a fan.
No, I'm not a massive fan. I just, whenever I see them, and obviously they're...
No, you just respect the system. Yeah, you respect what they're doing over there.
Very cool. Good shirt as well. I like their shirt. It's a nice shirt they've got.
True as well. Philip, feel like I know what you're going to say, but,
Well, I mean, I don't know that much about Dani Olmo, but he seems to be versatile. And he's young. He's 23 years of age. So for that reason alone, and I'd probably go for him.
Yeah. No. Philip staying strong with his answer on not going with Eriksen.
Yeah,
even when he's
it's no disrespect to Christian Eriksen. I mean, it really isn't. But I'm being brutally practical and frank about it.
Yeah. I agree. I think you have been very professional about it. Honestly, Paratici would be proud if he were listening in, Philip. He'd be proud of your restraint. But we're going to move on to a kind of something that I thought would be a bit interesting, because I feel like this is brought up every time. And I feel like Sean might know what I mean by this. Dave might know what I mean by this. But every time we're talking about getting a new striker in next season, we always say, oh, but will he play under Harry Kane? We're talking about big strikers like Lautaro Martinez and whatnot. We'll say, can he play under Harry Kane? Would he really want to do that? Will he even want to challenge, Harry Kane and Sonny and whatnot? This is kind of just something I want to get to the bottom of and maybe just get your guys' thoughts on. And maybe we just start off with the first question, go on to maybe just one or two after just quickly. But Sean, can we realistically get some sort of star striker to be comfortable with playing maybe under Harry Kane / maybe sacrificing some minutes to Harry Kane?
A star striker
like a Lautaro Martinez, maybe those Darwin Nunez, guys that are coming out. Let's say if Dusan Vlahovic were, still on the market back then, sort of players like that, those 40 million, 50 million pound sort of strikers, that are maybe for the future. Let's say Alexander Isak could be another example, that, that Swedish kid, that's Kulusevski's, compatriot. Would those sort of players be willing to play under Harry Kane?
Look at the people we've currently got. We've got Steven Bergwijn, who is nothing like as good as those guys. He's a good player. He's in good form, and he's probably got a good career in front of him. But that even though he's coming on and banging the goals in with 3 minutes of play here and there, he's itching to get on with his career elsewhere. So I think it's the curse. That with all good things come a curse. I think that the curse of Harry Kane is the fact that he like whoever comes in is always going to play second fiddle to him, even if he does the drop deep thing. You've still got Sonny that's going to be there, and Kulusevski, which is a player that we're seeing so much value out of. So I think that I don't think we should get a class striker. I'm okay. Technically, I'm kind of okay with the forward line that we have. I'm okay with Lucas Moura hanging around. I'm okay with Bergwijn hanging around if he's patient. I don't mind it that much. What I would say is if we are going to get a backup striker, we need someone far better than Vinicius. But I don't think you could possibly. Maybe like a Gareth Bale would be a perfect solution, because he is someone that is more than happy to sit on the bench, because when he comes on, he just turns it on naturally and scores his goal. But he loves the bench because it means he's closer to the golf course. But he is someone that's good enough, and he's willing to kind of play that role. He doesn't moan about not getting game time. So I think that maybe Gareth Bale would be an example of someone that you could get who's that good, and who'd also tolerate the role that who would be asked to play. Any of the other ilk that we've been linked to, I can't imagine they would want to come in and only play 50% at best of all the games that are available. So for me, I think it's a difficult conundrum to try and solve. And like I said, I think Gareth Bale is probably the best level of player that would also have a tolerance and a patience to get on with that role.
Dave, I've gone to you last each time. I could go to you here, what are your thoughts on this? Do you feel like it's a myth, that you can't get in a star striker to play, maybe sacrifice some minutes to Harry Kane? Or do you think there is some sort of truth, to the fact that, the 40 million pound, 50 million pound, sort of strikers, they probably don't really want to play under Harry Kane. It might be really tough to get them in.
No, not true. I don't subscribe to that whatsoever. Look, at the end of the day, money is the root of all evil, and very few people turn down stuff because of money. It takes a certain special type of person to do that. You pay the astronomical money, you pay the wages they want, you will bring them in. Look, for me, I would rather us go and identify someone a bit like Hugo Lloris as Kane's future replacement, and get him to come in and work under Kane, see how Harry Kane works, trains, lives his life, etc., and do something like that, rather than just bringing another journeyman like a Carlos Vinicius or someone like that. But look, Jack, you can always look. Back in the day, you had 4 strikers at Tottenham. 2 of them weren't complaining every week that they weren't playing. You still had them in the team. United, at one stage, they had Solskjaer, Sheringham, Dwight York, and Andy Cole. Real Madrid have had other strikers up alongside Benzema over the years and stuff like that. It's not true. If you pay the money, you will get them. I
feel like strikers, you could make I don't know, maybe Philip could back me up here. I think strikers are becoming almost nowadays a bit more like goalkeepers, where it's kind of only 1 or 2 positions, like that really fill the they're not really 4-4-2s really knocking about anymore. There are no 2 striker sort of combinations. Most teams don't have 4 number 9s, that are just warming the bench anymore. The striking position, or the number 9 position, is becoming almost a bit extinct, you could say, these days.
You're right. Yeah. We should have bought Danny Ings in the summer, but he was available.
Decent backup for us.
A decent backup, I was just looking at a poll. They've done a recent poll of the top 20 strikers in Europe. And David, you're going to hate what number Harry Kane is at. He's only number 8.
That's ridiculous.
And you know who's number 3? Romelu Lukaku.
Oh, for Jesus Christ.
Based on popularity?
There's not
No,
even an
it's based on a kind of a recent form. Now, the top two are Messi and Ronaldo. Okay, that's probably quids in, but Lukaku number 3 and Harry Kane number 8 is a bit of a joke,
When was that poll done? When was the poll taken?
It was some European soccer magazine did it. I haven't got the name of it here
It
now.
doesn't matter, Sean. When Harry Kane's number 8, it's not even worth reading.
Yeah, it's pretty grim now. And but like there are I'm struggling to come up with a name of a striker that would come to Spurs.
You're not going to get like somebody absolutely world class, but you will get strikers that come to Tottenham.
Yeah,
again, the problem is that there are not a lot of strikers are a rare breed actually right now, and like true number 9s are like they're not really easy to find these days, and strikers that are even hitting the net on a regular basis are not even hard to find these days. More or less, it feels like the players that are really scoring most of the goals are kind of maybe more or less wingers, kind of number 10s. There aren't a lot of number 9s that are knocking about, and the ones that are scoring a lot of goals are, it feels like, all under kind of the age of 25, or they're all above the age of 30. Like there's no kind of middle ground there either. There's Benzema, Lewandowski, and Kane, and then there's Patrick Schick, Nunez, and like Holland and all those guys. There's like no real middle ground, it seems like.
Again, we get Champions League this season. That might open the doors a little bit.
But like, if you want someone maybe a bit different, like ideally, look, if you are going to bring in someone to try and like, be backup to Kane or that. If you're looking for a backup, someone like a Mitrovic would be absolutely perfect. It's a different option. You can bring him on if you're chasing games. If you want someone to come in and compete with Kane, well, then you've got to go and pay the money. But you will get them in regardless. You will.
Because
in a World Cup year, do you think these best players in the world would want to come to Tottenham and only play 40-50% of the games in a World Cup year?
Well, we're not going to spend the money to get in the best strikers to come in and compete with Harry Kane, but someone like a Mitrovic or someone you would get 100%.
Would Fulham sell? Fulham are promoted almost certainly now. Would Fulham sell to us?
I think they probably have given up on Mitrovic, scoring in the Premier League, because he doesn't ever score in the Premier League for them. So maybe they would actually take in the cash this time.
Yeah. He's a good player.
What are your guys' thoughts though on like maybe what Dave was just saying though, Philip? Dave is saying, you could get a journeyman, kind of like, not really. I know maybe Mitrovic isn't really a journeyman, but someone that's a bit older, you kind of know what you're going to get, or would you rather go for somebody that could be like a Papa Matasar of number 9s that will be one for the future, but maybe can't give you a ton of goals, when you need it? What would you rather go for? Someone that could replace Harry Kane theoretically in the future that you would train underneath him, or someone like a Mitrovic that you just know, he's going to bang in the goals in those games?
Well, ideally, you'd like to get someone that would come in to learn the art from the master, really, and replace him eventually when he does go. But I really can't see that happening. We're more likely to get a Mitrovic type journeyman that's been around the block a few times as a stand-in, and hope that Harry Kane stays with us for another 4 or 5 years.
Would you go to the Everton if Everton go down and pick up
Calvert-Lewin
this is an extra time question. Who would you take from Everton?
They've got a good lineup up. They've got Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, Damari Gray. All of those players are really good, and they could easily fit in. And they want to jump ship. They immediately want to leave Everton if Everton went down.
I think Calvert-Lewin would be a good buy. I'm not so sure about Richarlison. I don't know there's something about him that just doesn't sit right with me. I don't know what it is. But Calvert-Lewin, his goals have dried up this season, but he's a decent striker. But then again, would he want to come and play second fiddle to Harry Kane next season? That's the thing. Mind you, if that was the choice of coming to Spurs or going playing in the Championship, playing Scunthorpe every Thursday night, that might be a game changer,
And he'd get all of the cup games, wouldn't he? He'd get the League Cup, the FA Cup. He'd get all those games as well. So
they'll effect be coming in and playing the Llorente role. Look, if we want to be competing, if we want to be competing next season, plus we also have to realise, touch wood, so far we've been lucky with a Harry Kane injury this season. We've been very lucky. If he gets injured next season, it's kind of like you could put Son up there. I suppose you could try Kulu up there. But ideally, you want someone who is going to guarantee you the goals from playing up in that position. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of route or what way they look at it this summer. But for me, they should be looking at somebody that will get you goals, because there's no guarantee Harry Kane will stay fit next season.
Yeah,
All
we'll see.
season long.
Yeah.
Me personally, I think I would rather go for somebody that could eventually learn from Harry Kane, kind of fill in his boots in the future. I know this is probably impossible. And like I said, all these sort of players are well known and couldn't really be, realistic, but I'd rather us go for some sort of 18-year-old star like an Adeyemi or something like that could, eventually sort of come in and, maybe be that sort of starlet, for us, rather than us maybe go for a Mitrovic. But to be fair, a Mitrovic would maybe do well in a lot of those cup games and would do well in some of those, kind of games where we do just need somebody, to fill in the void, for Harry Kane. I actually would say the more and more I think about it, if Ivan Toney isn't more than 30 to 40 million, I actually think he'd be a decent replacement, not for the future of Harry Kane, but if he would be okay with being a backup, I actually think that'd be a quality backup, but you'd be paying way too much for him to be a backup, which is another sort of problem as well.
Let me ask you a question, Jack. Like me, look, I would love them to identify someone around Europe who they think they can mold into something similar towards Harry Kane. I'd love them to bring someone in like that. But under Conte and how much that man wants immediate success, do you think Tottenham will go down that route? No.
Well, it just depends, because I think we see this at a lot of clubs, and I think Sean would agree with me here. There are transfers that you listen to the manager for, and then there are transfers that it seems like the club makes for themselves. And that could be sometimes a player that they know is like talented that they could sell on for lots of money. And whether that be someone that the manager really requested is probably not the case. It's just the club knows, like, listen, like, this guy will be here no matter how many managers we have in like the next 4 years, because he's somebody who we really know could be a real talent. That one guy, Dave, I've said him 1,000 times before, but I would say if we were to get someone like a Charles de Ketelaere, that Club Brugge kid, I actually think that would be an interesting choice, because he's kind of the same height, same sort of kind of frame to someone sort of like a Harry Kane. He's definitely a bit skinnier, but has that similar hold-up play, has that similar creativity, but then is really raw, could still learn from kind of the Harry Kane, and I think still be good enough to play, kind of as a backup, because he plays in Champions League games. He's played in high profile games for still being a really young kid, and has been one of the best players to do that. But like you said, Antonio Conte just wants success right away. He probably would rather just have a Chris Wood or a Mitrovic or someone like that, filling in for Harry Kane, when need be, than just have some 19-year-old that he could just throw on. I don't think Conte wants to throw on some 19-year-olds, especially strikers. Seems like he really likes his strikers. Antonio Conte, I don't think he's just going to accept some 20-year-old kid that he would just throw on.
I think the days of Spurs buying players that the manager doesn't want is over. I think Antonio Conte has the final say on everything that comes and goes out of that club from now on. There's nobody going to be coming in there that he doesn't fancy until it's his stamp goes on every player that comes in and out. I don't think that was always the way in the past.
Yeah. Moondog saying, I do not want Eriksen back at Spurs at any cost. Adamantly against Eriksen. Adamantly against Eriksen. There you are, Moondog. I do really appreciate it, though. And I would say, I think I'd be happy to take him. And we said this earlier. He wouldn't be like a Dybala sort of free transfer and sort of cost. I think you could just toss him in there. Wouldn't probably break the bank too much and, see what he could bring us. But if Eriksen wants to come back and Conte wants him, I think be happy to do it. The bottom Duda saying, I will get some flack for this, but I think Belotti fits the profile. He's 28, just came back from an injury, and he is a free agent. Him or Bale. Dave, I think you've been very adamant that you do not want Belotti.
Anytime I go looking into the guy, he's always injured, to be fair. He's got a long injury record. Look, he's a big guy, he's a bit of a unit, he can throw himself about, he's got a goal in him. I just don't fancy him. I don't think he's a Premier League player, to be honest with you. I don't think he's robust enough to be a Premier League player.
I think he's like a Solomon Rondon, if you were to bring him, to the Premier League. But I actually like Solomon Rondon. I think sometimes, especially at West Brom, they would just lump the ball up to him and wait for all the players to eventually catch up to him. And he did quite a good job at that. I think I'd rather take Bale, to be fair. I think you would get exactly with Bale, the similar passing range that you'd be getting with Harry Kane, similar finishing, similar long range kind of ability, just similar world-class ability. Where with Belotti, you just have to change your game, I feel like, so much if you were to put like a Belotti. And maybe that's a big difference as well, is putting on another striker, to Harry Kane. No way they're going to play the way that Harry Kane does, which also is a bit of a problem. Does the whole team dynamic, the whole kind of tactics and everything get messed up a bit when you put on a different striker that can't do nearly what Harry Kane does? Then maybe you also go for a striker that can do something either pretty similar or something that is also in itself something kind of world-class as well. But the bottom Duda, see your Belotti point, but I kind of disagree. I kind of am with Dave here. Not someone who I would take. And I get it because he's a free and you're trying to save a bit of a buck here, but not for me either. Not for me either.
Random one for you guys. I asked you guys this back in January, and Dave shot it down because he said the players only become a thing because he's taken on his mother's maiden name. Brereton Diaz is out of contract. He's gone on to score another 8 goals in the last couple of months. 20 goals in
video.
28 games. I thought.
Oh, that's the guy that switched to countries. He was English. Players
Ben Brereton, and then it becomes Ben Brereton Diaz. Yeah, look, he carried on his form. In January, he only scored like 18, 12 or something, and now he's
only 23, 24, isn't he?
He's out of contract as well in the summer, right?
I didn't know he was coming up out of contract.
Yeah. So I don't know whether he'd be someone.
And he's actually like 24 years old, I think, or 20. He's not even very old.
He's under 20. I think he's 23. I think.
But that's someone you will get to Tottenham, though. You will get him to Tottenham.
Oh, he's 22. He's 22 years old.
I would take him. I actually. That's funny. Actually, I did that. Free transfers that would go under the radar video, and I think he.
Was it on there? Was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was one of those players that just fit that bill right away. It was just like one of those free transfers that isn't the Mbappe that will be like on page 9. Sort of free transfer. But anybody that does get him, I think it'd be kind of a savvy sort of deal. I think Brereton Diaz would not be a bad choice at all. Actually, I think would not be a bad choice at all. Maybe we found our one. Do let us know what you think of that one. To bottom Duda. But we do move on. I think we've pretty much done a lot of good transfer kind of business there, discuss a lot of good things there, but we could move on to a bit of a squad, sort of question here of who is a better wing back in Conte's system between Reguilon or Sessegnon, because a lot of people, Philip, recently have been kind of comparing the two. A lot of people are saying they like Sessegnon a lot more, saying Reguilon, they just don't see a future anymore with Reguilon. At the club, some people feel like Sessegnon just not, just too injured, just someone who isn't reliable. Where do you feel like, your future lies? If you wanted to continue down this Conte dream, who would your left wing back be? Would it be Sessegnon? Would it be Reguilon?
I think one of the most poignant moments I've seen ever in a football match was 20 minutes into the Wolves game when Conte took Sessegnon off. And he had to trudge 3/4 of the way around the pitch to get to the dugout. And I thought, that's you finished at Spurs, lad. You're done. But he came back. He
was applauded the whole way around the pitch, though.
He was. Yeah. I mean, it was very, very sad to watch it. But, fair play to him. He dug in, he got back in, and he was playing very well whenever he got the place back, only to go injured again, Sessegnon... Oh, not Sessegnon. Reguilon is he flatters to deceive a lot of the time. I'm not really convinced by him. It's a toss of a coin. It's hard to pick between them, but I think I stick with a homegrown player here and say Sessegnon.
What do you think Sessegnon maybe offers that Reguilon might not?
I think Sessegnon has got a better eye for goal than Reguilon. Reguilon's been in a few great situations where he's either hit the ball straight at the goalkeeper or missed it completely. But I think Sessegnon, he scored a good few goals for Fulham when he was with them. And I think he's got a better of an eye for goal for Spurs, which for a marauding attacking wing back is quite a good attribute to have, rather than missing every chance that you get, bar the couple that he did score. But no, again, it's a tough decision. But again, if I'm flipping a coin, I'd hope it'd come down on the side of Sessegnon.
Interesting. Dave, what are your thoughts on, Reguilon and Sessegnon? Who do you think fits the Conte system a bit better?
I think Reguilon, to be honest with you. Look, Sessegnon, I think, has probably proven he's better defensively, especially some of the big games that he's played. But I think going forward, I just think Reguilon offers a lot more going forward than what Reguilon or than what Sessegnon does. Look, I know he's getting into great positions and he's not scoring, but for me, I think that will come. Like, you can work with him on composure, on striking a football. Look, Sessegnon broke into the team as a left winger at Fulham anyway, so he naturally has a better eye for goal. But funny enough, Reguilon gets into better positions more often than Sessegnon to be able to get them goals. And I just think if you could work with Sessegnon on striking a ball and composure, I think you've got one hell of a left wing back on your hands who will get into the goals, because you can't teach the willingness and the desire to keep getting into them positions. And it's something we've seen all season long with Reguilon. How many times have we seen Harry Kane dropping deep and playing Reguilon in? It's been in the current team this whole season long, especially since Conte has come in. But if Reguilon could work on his finishing and his final decision making over the summer, I think we've got one of the best left wing backs in Europe, in my opinion.
Interesting. Sean, what are your thoughts? Sessegnon maybe a higher ceiling, but Reguilon better fit. Who do you think is a better fit for Conte's system?
Listen, I agree with Phil that it's a toss of a coin. They're basically equity in my opinion. I think that the things that separate the two, I think obviously Reguilon's got more pace, but I do think that he's he gets altitude sickness when he gets too far up the pitch a little bit.
Especially in the box.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
he reaches Everest.
He's got zero composure, like zero chill, and you need that. Like, if you're going to play that system, I guarantee you, if Reguilon was on the pitch and Harry Kane whips that ball in, that Doherty heads down, Reguilon doesn't score that goal. Reguilon misses that goal. Reguilon blazes it over the top, or whatever happens, right? So I don't think that Reguilon's got the composure, but he's got the pace. I think that Sessegnon he's awake, he's early. I said this a few times, he's usually awake at the start of the game. And if, of late, we've found a way to break down teams that do the low block, whether we score first or whether we come back. So it's becoming less of a problem. But with Sessegnon on the pitch, getting the early goal is crucial when these teams come and sit and do the low block against us. And he's usually been very good at it. You would make the case that Sessegnon's injury prone, and of course that's true. But Reguilon is also starting to become a liability. Yeah. He's had 3 or 4 different, maybe 5 different spells out for this season. 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there. He had the coronavirus or whatever happened there. Then he came back. Then he had a stomach thing. Like, he's not exactly without his injury-prone attributes as well. If the question is who's better, who fits the system more, I think Sessegnon probably fits the system more. He edges it just because he's got a bit more composure up the top. But it's a close one. They're both good. Neither of them are fantastic. Both of them are unreliable with their injuries. So I definitely think that in the summer we need to replace either one or both of them, in my opinion.
As like a follow-up, what do you think? I feel like Reguilon, I think you're absolutely spot on, gets altitude sickness in the box. But when he's 6 yards outside the box, he has all the composure in the world.
Yeah.
The moment he gets in the box.
Yeah.
He just goes,
door. Oh, no, I shouldn't be here.
With Conte's system, we're going to need them to pop up with a few goals. And we're going to need them to maybe, when they get that chance to slot it away, far post away from the keeper, Reguilon's going to need to do that. Do you agree with Dave that maybe that can be taught to Reguilon and maybe it'd be better off just doing that? Or would you rather just, develop Sessegnon more, who has a better ceiling?
Of the two of them, if you had to keep one, I just think that, listen, Sessegnon is... He's been around since he was 17. I know he's only 22 or 23 now, but he spent more time on the sidelines than he has on the pitch. Mm-hmm. His injury never seems to go away. There's rumors that he's too built up, he's too muscular in other parts of his body, and it puts too much pressure on his joint. Whatever the issue is, once it goes, like, your hamstring is an ever recurring injury, and it's always his left hamstring, different areas of the hamstring. I just don't think that he's not fit enough, regularly enough, consistently to rely on. So I don't think you can build a system around him because you know that for every 10 games you're going to play, 6 of them are not going to have him in it. So I feel like, unfortunately, if you're going to pick one and keep one, I think you probably keep Reguilon and probably move Sessegnon. I wish the guy well. I hope he gets over his troubles. But, we're trying to build something here and you need consistent players. And he's just not someone that can offer that reliability. So for me, Reguilon probably stays ahead of him. But I still make the argument that you could make the case to replace both of them and bring two players in the summer.
Easily make the case to replace both of them. I think you're spot on with that. Faz Radfart saying Taremi from Porto is a decent striker, suits the Premier League. He's the guy who I touted, maybe if you're on that Sardar Azmoun Taremi, combination could be actually the key to it. And I think they also have that old Brighton guy, Johan Bosch. There are a few different Iranian players that are knocking about. So definitely catch that answer over there for the World Cup, Faz Radfart. But I don't know if he'd suit the Premier League, though, my man. I think he's a bit too old at this rate. Big up, though. Appreciate the support. Dark Sun G saying Cess for the top 6 sides while Reggie for the other teams. Maybe because Sessegnon's a better defender, Dave?
Yeah, look, I do think he's better. I think he's more switched on. You look at Liverpool and City, he played both of them games, didn't he, Sessegnon? And, he was very good defensively. He put Mo Salah into his pocket. And against Man City, I thought he was very good as well. They didn't get much joy down that side. Yeah, I think there's definitely a case for that. I think if you're going up against the likes of Liverpool, City, and Chelsea, and you want to do a bit of a defensive number, I think Reguilon is perfect for it. He, like Sean says, he's very switched on, and he switched on from the minute go. Because I remember very early on against Liverpool, they put in a ball in behind, and I've seen players switch off before, and Mo Salah just glide in and tap it in. But Sessegnon was alert to it from minute one, ready, and managed to cut it out. So I do think if you're looking for a defensive game or defensive system, I think Reguilon is your man, or Sessegnon is your man. But anything after that, going forward, I still think Reguilon is your man. I think just the wit and the create and the unselfish runs he makes, I think is crucial to us going forward against some of them teams.
Interesting. Yeah, I like it.
It's a tough one, isn't it? It's so close that there's not much between them.
I actually wouldn't replace either of them. I think you get away another year with Dele. I'd rather see the money go into the centre backs, into the centre midfield, and that rather than and the right wing back. I don't think left wing back should be on the top of our list. I think they've both done enough to be able to get us by another season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's last of the priority list, if you ask me. Moving on to another kind of, one player or another, what's your thoughts on, the situation with the squad? Do you think Bergwijn or Lucas, need to leave this summer? One of them is, thinking that he needs to leave this summer. The other is just someone that's kind of forever been a squad player. What do you guys think? Are you happy to keep them again, for another season? Do you feel like one of them needs to go so that we can bring in a better, quality backup that would, be willing to sit on the bench for a bit? What are your thoughts, Philip? Lucas, Bergwijn, been kind of itching for one of them to get out, or do you feel like, you'd be happy to see them stay?
No, I don't want either of them to go, but my worry is Bergwijn goes away on international duty for Holland and 3 goals in 2 matches.
Yeah.
He comes back and scores for Spurs. If he's sitting on the bench and not getting regular play, how long is he going to, is he an influence in the dressing room? Is he going to start bad-mouthing people? Is he going to start giving out that he's not playing more? Mm-hmm. Is he going to cause unrest? I think we know that Lucas is fairly happy with his loss. He loves the club. I don't think he'll be doing much complaining. I'll be just worried that Bergwijn might be a bit of a loose cannon and might cause a bit of unrest in the dressing room if he wasn't getting regular game time. But I think we need him squad-wise if we're going to launch an assault on everything next season.
If you're in Bergwijn's shoes, Philip, what do you do? Do you sit, do you go to another club like Ajax, and kind of make a bit of a step down and go back to the old league you came from, but, play more games, of course? Or do you stick around with Spurs and potentially play in some of the biggest games, maybe you would ever play in your career?
If I was him, I'd stick with Spurs. I'd stick with Spurs. And I mean, the guy has proved that he can do it. He's bailed us out a couple of times, against Leicester, especially this season, But I
get a lot more money at Tottenham than he would back in Holland.
He would, yeah. I mean, and let's face it, he'd be playing Manchester United and Liverpool against. He'd be playing teams in Holland. He'd probably playing on a paddy field of a pitch with a front of 5,000 people. You know, no offense to the Dutch league, but there's no comparison between it and the Premiership.
There's some real
every offence taken to the Dutch league by the Dutch.
All right. You know what I mean? Sorry, anybody who's looking from Holland, but for God's sake, they'd be holding up torches instead of having floodlights at the ground, you know?
They already wanted us out of the Conference League, Philip. Now they want you out as well.
Philip not to rattle a few cages.
That's me bad from going to Holland ever again, I think. But
yeah, this channel's getting cancelled in Holland for sure.
I know. He should stick with Spurs, you know, but whether his agent will allow that. Because if he's doing well for Holland, and Holland are going to the World Cup, aren't they?
Yeah,
which means he'll be going to the World Cup. So he's putting himself in the shop window there, you know.
Yeah.
And then again, he might want to go to another club because he's not getting enough game time to get into the squad for the World Cup. So it's a whole conundrum, really, you know. But all he needs to do is knuckle down, train well, catch Conte's eye, and get in the team now and again and do what he does best: score goals.
Yeah. I feel the same way. What are your thoughts, about that question, Sean? If you're in Bergwijn's shoes, if you were trying to get the most out of your career, if you were Bergwijn, what do you do? Do you play all the football as much as possible? Go back to Ajax, you play every single game. You get to never complain about not playing enough football. Or do you stick with Spurs and potentially get to play in, some of the biggest games of your entire career? Because who knows, Son, maybe gets injured for 3 weeks. And you're playing against Real Madrid, you're playing, against Chelsea, you're playing against Man United, all in the space of 3 weeks. What would you rather do if you were him?
I think he has to. I think he needs to have a long conversation with his family and with Antonio Conte. How much do you value me? Am I always going to be the bridesmaid, never the bride, unless there's injuries? I think he also needs to remember that we have had an unusual season in that, touch wood, it doesn't change, but in that Harry Kane has been fit the entire season. Sonny has only been out for 5 or 6 games with that little period. And when that happened, Bergwijn played, right? And he played against West Ham. He didn't do that. He didn't do fantastic things against Chelsea in the cup. He was okay, but none of us were great in the semi-final. None of the team were great in the semi-finals of that games. But he did get his chance. And in any other season, and the other thing to remember is that in the run-in now, we have every game is a cup final, and we don't have any cups or distractions, right? So we only have one competition with a fully fit squad. He has to just appreciate, and if he's a realistic man, he should appreciate that, look, Stevie Bergwijn is not on the same form level or the same level yet as Sonny or Kane is. Next season, we start again with 4 competitions: the Premier League, the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, and whatever version of Europe we have. And there will be injuries again. There's always the last 4 months has been an anomaly. It's not par for the course. It's the exception to the rule. So I feel like he has to have a conversation with himself, recognize that there's going to be far more opportunities than he's had recently next season. And when he gets them, he has to take them. Now he does. He also has become like a super sub. He comes on for 10 minutes and scores a goal. Done it a few. I won't go through the list of the examples, but I think that there's enough of a player there for us to not need to go and search for someone else. But we need him to accept the situation as it is, recognize that this is not going to always be the case.
Accept the circumstances, yeah. Accept
the circumstances, but then have if Antonio Conte says to him, "Look, mate, I love you. I think you're a superstar, and you're going to get your chances next season. But you have to
you're precious."
Yeah, I think you're precious. But you have to appreciate where I'm at. My hands are tied at the moment. We got 8 more games left, and they're all cup finals. And of course, Sonny and Kane, on the form they're in, are going to get the start. So for me, I want him to stay, and I'd like Lucas Moura to stay as well. I think that Lucas Moura is a great player. So I want both of them to stay, but I want both of them to accept. And I know Lucas already does, but I want Bergwijn to just have some context and perspective. And then know that next season it's going to be your chance. And when you get your chance in whatever league, whatever cup games, take them and smash it. And then you can essentially establish yourself as the first choice. I think that's how I would do it if I was him.
I hope Stephen is listening, Sean. That was beautifully put. I hope he is listening. But Dave, anything to add to this? If you were in Bergwijn's shoes, what would you do if you had a football career like that in front of you? Would you want to play week in, week out, but sacrifice maybe the level of competition? Or would you want to maybe take that chance and be able to play, in some of the biggest games you could ever say you would ever play in?
Look, me personally, I'd probably stay at Tottenham Hotspur. If I was Steven Bergwijn, look, taking a step down to the Dutch league or whatever, it might not work out for him again, you know. And look, I actually think staying at Tottenham, he's still going to go to the World Cup regardless. I think if I was him, I'd rather be playing week in, week out heading into the World Cup. So, you know, to give myself the very best chance to be able to explode on the biggest stage possible. But he's going and he'll probably play regardless. I mean, he's still playing for Ireland now and he doesn't start for us. Why would it change going into the World Cup? I don't think it will. I don't think it'll affect his World Cup position whatsoever. Looking at the stats here, he's made 38 appearances now. Oh no, Bergwijn has made 26 appearances with 4 goals and 2 assists. Now, granted, a lot of the appearances made a lot of them have been substitution appearances. And
be interesting to know what his goals or his assists per minute played are.
Yeah, and Lucas Moura has played 38 games with 6 goals, 7 assists. And it's not actually a bad return in terms of Lucas Moura standards, to be honest with you. I would be looking to ship on Lucas Moura if the opportunity came, but that's only if we're going to replace him. I just think you can definitely get somebody like Kulusevski has already proven it. You can get somebody to come in that is better at an end product than Lucas Moura. And for me, I just don't see what you do with Lucas Moura in this system. I don't think this system works to his benefit. Someone like, yes, he was playing in the system and he was doing well. But since Kulu has come in, look at the amount of goals we're scoring. We're absolutely opening teams up. And that's because Kulu can pass a ball. Kulu can create assists. Lucas Moura, he can't really pass a ball. He's too erratic. He wants to dribble with it the whole time. And you see Kane and Son get frustrated at him at times as well. A simple pass to their feet, and he can't make it. For me, I would be, look, thank you very much to everything Lucas Moura has done. I mean, he's been an incredible servant. But if there was an opportunity and a player became available, just like Kulusevski did in the January transfer window, I'd be looking at it. If there wasn't a player available, then look, maybe I'll keep him around for another year, because at the end of the day, we don't want to put ourselves in a position where we're looking to sign 8-9 players and then giving out that we didn't sign 8-9 players, even though it's not realistic. But if an opportunity and the right player came up and it's one Tottenham we're after, I'd definitely look at it. If it wasn't, then I probably would keep Lucas Moura around for another year. Bergwijn, look, I've already said I've changed my mind on him, to be honest with you. Look, I was pissed off that he put out that Snapchat. I really was. But, you know, fair play to him. I said if he gets minutes, he better put his, hopefully his mouth is as big as his boots. And turns out it is. So, happy days.
Interesting. I mean, my kind of thoughts on it are, if I were in Bergwijn's shoes, it just really depends. Like, if you really hate sitting on the bench and you just would rather just be playing all the time, I would say yes. You know, go back to Holland, go back to PSV, go back to Ajax, wherever it may be. If you want to play in maybe the best games, the highest profile games with the best quality opponents, I would probably stick around Spurs and just be patient. And kind of like Sean said, just know that at your age, knowing that playing at a club like this, you do kind of have to wait your turn, sometimes. It is just kind of how the world of football works, kind of to a degree how a bit of life works, as well. And maybe with Steven Bergwijn, he's just struggling to make that decision between playing week in, week out, or waiting his turn, to eventually play a lot more football at a much higher level. And to be fair, I think he'll be going through the same sort of situation if he were to go to any other club. Even if he went to like a Dortmund, I could imagine him, still kind of struggling, with a similar sort of predicament. So I think it's just something like Sean said. He's just going to have to maybe talk about it with his agent, talk about it with his family, talk about it with the Don Conte as well.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. Just a couple of super chats here to get through, Jacko.
And Faz Radfar saying, Winks out and sign 3 to 4 first-team players. Job done. I think you just put in Papa Matsar to play the Winks role, probably throw in one other central midfielder in there, and then get 2 to 3 more, maybe first-team players, and then you have the job done, Faz. Completely agree, my man. Completely agree. Brian McGuire, new member, Dave. Yeah,
look, fan show every Monday, my man. Hopefully you come on this Monday, and hopefully we get the win on Saturday, and you can come on and join in on the good vibes on the fan shows recently, Brian. It'd be nice to see you. You've been in around the chat a long time, so it'd be nice to get you on.
A lot of new faces that have been coming in.
I've got to cancel my membership on my one YouTube account, and then I'm going to relaunch it on my other YouTube account, just so you know. So don't think I'm playing silly buggers or anything. It's just I've got.
It's actually what was on everybody's mind, in the chat as well, John. So glad, it's actually the next.
If anyone's
question,
suspicious out there,
the next
some money
question
laundering going on.
We wanted to ridicule you for it. How dare you announce it?
Big up, Brian, though. Hope to see you Monday, as well as I want to see Paul again, and I want to see Ian Ferguson again as well.
Yeah.
George saying, just got in. Hello at all the panel and in the chat. George setting the vibes, setting the example.
George was always in late. George, what do you do in life, my man? You're always home late. Good up, Georgie.
Big up, George. Love to see it, my man. Just finishing up the Bergwijn kind of Lucas conversation as well, George, so you did miss it. For FA Cup and Carabao Cup, if we go 3-4-3, would you go with a front three if Stevie and Kane, Hill as Son and Son and Lucas, if we don't get a backup striker? This is actually a really fascinating question. Could you get away with Stevie B and Kulusevski and Son as sort of auxiliary backup strikers? Let's say Kane gets injured, Son fills in number 9, Bergwijn moves into the left, Kulu stays the same. Let's say Son,
I think he's asking a different question, isn't he? He's asking you swap Kane for Stevie, swap Son for Hill, and swap Kulu for Lucas. Is that what he's asking?
Or Lucas for Kulu.
Yeah.
So front three of Stevie, Gill, and Lucas.
Hill and Lucas, yeah. I still think there's goals in that.
There is, if we have Gill back next season.
Yeah. No, look, I think there's definitely goals in there. Gill, look, I would like to see him be given
Stevie
another
as
chance.
Kane. Sorry, Darkson. Stevie as Kane, Hill as Son, Lucas as Kulu. I see.
Yeah. I think there's enough goals in it. It'll get you through the early rounds of them competitions for sure, but in the later rounds, I'm not too sure. I don't think you have enough.
It's a fairly lightweight forward line. There's no height there.
Yeah,
really.
That reeks of the Carabao, not the Carabao, the Europa Conference League stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think if you're sitting back really deep, if a team's sitting back really deep, I don't know what that sort of front three could do to break it down. I just feel like there wouldn't be enough space on the pitch for them to break it down. I feel like that front three would rely on space being in behind, space being in front of them. If it were really tight, kind of staunch, back five, I just don't see them doing well against them.
You're always going to need probably one of Kane or Son on the pitch, aren't you?
Even just a big head, in the middle, just to knock, something.
But if you had someone like a Mitrovic or a Weghorst or someone like that you could say to them, if teams like that, when we do go into them early stages of the cup and they do sit 5 men behind the ball and they sit low block, you're giving yourself a complete different option. You can just get the ball out wide, whipping in, and get one of them to attack it. But when you don't have that, you can't do that with Stevie B, a Gill, or Lucas. You're constantly trying to play through them, and the spaces are not there in them sort of games.
Yeah. Well, Dane Scarlett's going to be 6 months taller, isn't he? Have you seen how much size Dane Scarlett's put on in the last?
He's
season?
big.
He was like 5'9" at the start of the season, and now he's like 6'1". He's getting really, really tall.
He's bulking up as well.
Yeah,
Conte must put him on the rack every evening.
That's crazy, because I even said even at the beginning of this season, Sean, I kind of said he must have gone through a growth spurt. So I even said that at the beginning of this season, I thought he went through a growth spurt. So
yeah, he's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Hopefully he'll turn into a Peter Crouch.
Maybe he'll become like a Holland, or something like that, sort of player where he's just big, strong, and powerful. But Dark Sun G, like I said, maybe that front three sort of could work, but coming up against a team that will just, be sitting behind the ball the whole game, I'm not sure if there's enough space for them in that team. And it's a really good question, and something that I kind of had on the back of my mind of whether you really do need to get a real number 9 in order to back up Kane. Can you get away with a front three like that? I guess maybe the answer is no. Dark Sun G. But I think, we could probably move on to kind of the last kind of bit of question, which could be a bit funny, and then move on to a bit of extra time and then kind of call it a night. But we were kind of thinking earlier, about Dele Alli and what's happened to him. So what's going to happen to Harry Winks then, when you think about it, when he leaves Spurs this summer? It is kind of a bit of maybe of a sadder thought in this case, because with Dele Alli, we kind of knew what was going to happen if he did get everything right. But in the Winks case, we're not really sure. maybe what would happen, because we don't really know even how good of a footballer he actually is. But I'm not sure. Philip, what do you think is going to happen to Harry Winks if he leaves this summer, when he leaves this summer? It seems like he'll probably be out the door finally this summer.
Bye-bye.
Stacking shelves in Aldi.
What do you see his life in the Premier League? Do you see his life in the Championship? Is it going to be like a Dele Alli one? Is it going to be a very, long roller coaster, all the way back down?
I'm actually, the Dele Alli situation is actually quite sad. I mean, I know you can all be flippant about it and everything, but the guy has gone from being a hero to us to a short time ago, really, to being the butt of a joke now, really. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but I believe he wasn't even kitted out for the game last night, even though he was on the bench. I don't know how true that is. That's a rumor that was going around today. But it's just sad. He seems to have lost the run of himself completely. Harry Winks, it's possible someone like Newcastle could come in for Harry Winks.
Please.
That they could go there. But I think Harry Winks' level would be a top 6 championship side.
Yeah.
Someone pushing for promotion to the Premiership. And let's face it. Listen, Harry Winks, again, he's one of those guys. He's been at the club since he was an embryo, nearly. He was nearly there before he was conceived, and we've got to give him thanks for his service, but wish him well and move him on somewhere else, because he's only going to be sitting on the bench or worse next season if he's still there. And it's not good for the lad. He's 24, 25. He needs to get regular football, and he's not going to get it at Spurs.
We saw that regular football, not having regular football clearly hurt Dele Alli, though, Philip. And maybe that's probably one of the reasons why Everton, that spell isn't going well, because he wasn't playing regular football. He kind of was just having a nice time and, relaxing and, getting massages and talking about, toothpaste and, how you put it on, things like that, with the medical team. Do you think with Winks, it could be a similar thing? He ends up at Bournemouth, let's say, and actually realizes, he's competing for his spot. It's not something familiar. Could that maybe hurt him like it is Dele Alli?
Well, one thing I'll say about the difference between those two players when they actually got game time with football this season with Spurs, Dele Alli came on the pitch and swanned around as if he didn't really want to be there. He didn't make any effort to get involved. He wasn't trying. Harry Winks, for all his faults, always tries when he comes on. Okay, it mightn't work out for him, but you could never accuse him of not getting stuck in and trying to do his best for the team. And that was the difference between them, I think,
I think I could definitely accuse him of not getting stuck in, because the amount of times I've seen him packing his bags and on the way to Salou when Højbjerg is out pressing opponents and where's Harry Winks? And he's 10 yards behind him.
Yeah. I take your point, But what I'm saying is, okay, but that's probably down to his lack of skill and foresight and reading the game. Dele Alli just didn't seem to care anymore.
Yeah.
And that's unforgivable on the money. He won't play for Everton again this season as long as they're in a relegation dogfight, because you do not want a guy like that coming on and swanning around when you want 11 guys there that are going to die for the badge. And the only badge Dele Alli would die for is one of his sponsors.
Sean, what are your thoughts? Where does Winks end up going? Is he going to a Premier League club? Is he going to make it there? Where is the Winks career going on from here?
Well, I think in Harry Winks' head, he's one of the most confident, talented players that's ever graced the game. I think
you don't think he's a bit fragile in the head? I feel like he probably is a bit fragile.
Well, if you listen to him on the videos you see on the training ground and stuff, he's the most swagger.
He's wearing the sleeveless shirt, during the international training as well.
He's got such a swagger about him. Excuse me. I think that if he stays in England, to Phil's point, I think he could be, a good fit for a promotion, like a bounce back. If Burnley or Norwich go down, maybe they'd fit in there, or even a team that's coming up, like a Fulham. Maybe he'd be a good job to go and fit in there and try and do a decent job there. Or he might want to get out and go to like a Spain or somewhere like that. Maybe his play in a league where the game is slower, where he can have more time on the ball. and see if he can sort of sunset his
Carroll
career.
about these days.
Yeah, see if he can sunset his career in a league that's sort of more suitable. This is what I was talking about earlier. This horses for courses. His style of football is not made for a fast-paced league, and he likes too much time on the ball, and he's obviously a stat padded, like we always say. So I think maybe go to Spain, somewhere like that, where you get a siesta during the match.
I think he actually has Spanish blood in him, doesn't he? He could have played for Spain, I believe.
Maybe. I don't know about that. Yeah. So that's what I would do if I was him. But in his head, he's probably like, he can't believe he's not starting. He can't believe that Chelsea haven't come calling for him.
When's Milan? The dangerous scenario. Yeah. Dave, where's the Harry Winks, trilogy going from here?
I don't care. I'll be honest. I actually don't care.
If you were to predict, where would it be in the next 5 years? Where is he in the next 5 years? Is he knocking about in the Championship, knocking about in the Premier League, or?
He's not a Premier League. He's not a Premier League player. Look, people say you can put him down the lower end of the Premier League table. What one of them teams are going to want him in their midfield when he won't tackle? He can't read the game. He's not progressive with his passing. Them teams will be looking to hit teams quickly on the counter. And what? They're going to have Winks in there who's going to pass it back to the centre-back, who's putting them under more pressure. Look, the guy is just not good enough. I appreciate that, even though he hasn't been good enough, he's an attitude. But this guy is 26 years of age. 4 years and he's 30. 4 years.
He's only 26. I would have thought he's like 28 by now, 29.
Yeah, no,
he's
26.
Wow.
26, yeah.
He's still got time on his side.
That's not young, though. Like, 26 is not young. Most of his career has already passed him by, Look, for me, Bentancur has come in and shown him up within the first 30 seconds of touching the ball, and since he's come in general. And there's just no more room here for Harry Winks, and we don't need to hold on to this homegrown thing that so many people hold on to, because you now have Ollie Skip there. Now, just to be clear, there's two different sorts of homegrown. There's one where you have to have so many homegrown players, but out of that so many of them have to have come through the academy, and that's the one where we have held Harry Winks onto for years now. And it's just, look, we don't need him anymore. Ollie Skip takes that. And you can move on, Harry Winks. Look, every manager that has come in has tried. Every manager that has come in has tried with this guy. And ultimately, they give him a few games and he finds himself back out of the team. But this is also a guy that's had every excuse under the sun. This is a guy that had the audacity to sit there in front of Spurs fans after a Europa Conference League loss, which should never happen, and cry about needing regular game time. I mean, if you want regular game time, you've got to take the 10, 20 minutes that are on offer to be able to get the regular game time. Harry Winks has played in this Tottenham team, especially over the course of this season, through default, through having injuries. He's not once been first choice into that midfield. And for me, I'll be so happy to see the back of him. He is not Tottenham Hotspur standard whatsoever. When you look at some of the great midfielders, some of the great passing midfielders we've had at this club, stretching all the way back to Glenn Hoddle. You've had Gascoigne. You've had Michael Carrick, Luka Modric, Moussa Dembele, and then you've had Harry Winks. He's a stain on the rest of them names. Look, for me, fair play to him for sticking around for keeping an attitude or keeping a good attitude. But like Jack, I've always said this. For me, Tom Carroll was better than Harry Winks and offered more than Harry Winks, but only was shipped on at 23, 24. How is this guy still here at 26? But not only at 26, but every couple of years being given a new contract without actually doing anything to warrant it. It's an absolute farce. And the sooner this Winksy charade is over, the better it is for everybody at Tottenham Hotspur. Because I actually get sad when I see comments coming in, oh, maybe we should do this with Winky, or maybe we should do that with Winky. He has one good game. Like, oh, maybe we're using Winky wrong. No, Winky's not good enough to be here. He should be a mattress seller selling mattresses for 40 winks rather than playing, in my opinion. He's not good enough for Tottenham. For me, he's a championship player, or he might do well in Spain where the game is a lot slower, but he's not a Premier League player and he's not a Tottenham player.
Now, to answer William Kelly's super chat, Dave, do you think you were easing up on Winks there? Or do you think you were being fair? Or do you think you're being a bit hot towards him? Because you still need to ease up on him. I feel like that was actually quite nice. I think that was quite nice, what you were saying.
Yeah, no, make no mistake about it. I tried to get away in the nicest way possible. Yeah, I have. I mean, I could go so bad on him, but it's just not the right timing. I mean, vibes are good. There's no need, but I was being very nice there. I tried to put it in a nice structured way
William,
rather than just abuse the guy.
There you are, William. He's going as nice to the winky as he possibly could.
I'm taking Philip Brady's the lead from the fan. Philip Brady asked me to be nice to some of these players, and I'm trying. I'm trying my best.
I'm just getting the yellow card out here for you.
Yeah, he didn't go full red, though. He didn't go full red. You know, it wasn't a full 2-footed challenge.
No, it's really on match day that applies, lads. It's really on match day, you know.
Yeah, send him to Rangers or something like that. He'll do well up there.
Dark Sun G saying, then you would get a forward option in the summer for cups. Maybe he's talking about Mitrovic sort of thing, the number 9 striker thing.
We've been through that already, haven't we, really, with Mitrovic and whoever else. We're going to get to back up Harry or come alongside Harry.
But maybe what we haven't spoken about is just quickly the fact that we don't really, I guess the competitions that these number 9s would be in are actually a lot better than actually we think about. Like this could be FA Cup, Carabao Cup, maybe group stage games of the Champions League or something like that. You know, it could end up being that backup striker could actually be playing in a lot of high profile games compared to what they would have this season.
Yeah, true.
See, the thing is, you need someone that can come in and that has a hope of getting some goals in the Champions League if that's where we're going to be. Because you have, for me, you've got to sign this striker, assuming Harry Kane will get injured at some stage.
Yeah.
There you are, Dark Sun G. But really do appreciate the support, my man. Moving on to the extra time, everybody. Everybody's kind of best way to wind down. But I would say maybe not some easy ones this time, as per usual. And this one I think is definitely quite cruel. And I actually felt bad for even making it up. But who's had a bigger impact since coming into the Spurs 11? Kulusevski or Bentancur? And that is a cruel thing to even ask, I think. And I think it's probably quite messed up to even ask, but I'm going to need answers. Dave, since you're already struggling as it is, what's your answer? Kulusevski or Bentancur? Who's had a greater impact?
I'm going to be quick. Look, I'm going to go with Bentancur purely because he's been the link between the defence and the forward and the way we're keeping possession lately, which allows everyone else around him to shine once we have the ball. So I'm going to go with Bentancur, but that's no dig at Kulu. He's had an amazing impact.
Philip, if you had to pick between one or the other, you know, who do you think has had a bigger impact on the squad?
They've both been brilliant. If I had a choice, I'd give it to both of them. But I think I'd agree with David. It's just purely for the link in the hold-up play that Bentancur does. That's what we were missing. That's what we were missing. It's now back in the side. So, but the slimmest of margins, Bentancur.
Sean, maybe Kulusevski, or do you agree with the Bentancur?
No, it's a full house. I just think that if you have to think about what would we have if we didn't have them, right? And if we didn't have Bentancur, we would be stuck with Winks. If we didn't have Kulu, we'd be stuck with Lucas Moura or Bergwijn. So for me, as much as like everyone else has said, it's a close one. They've both been phenomenal, but Bentancur's been the bigger fish.
I love hearing how Sean got to that answer as well.
King Huddle, though, not a fan of that question. I do agree. Yeah, definitely.
It's a great question. It's a tough one. You could debate that until you're long in the tooth. If you really want, you could do a whole show on those two. You know,
yeah.
I think the point is that you just don't even want to split, them. You just want to, love them both, but, you can't love your kids equally, I guess, in this scenario, between Kulu and Bentancur. Who would you take back, Eriksen or Bale? I am going to go off and say Bale if I had to take one of them back, but we'll start at the bottom with Sean. Sean.
Yeah, full house for the reasons I said. Also, not full house. Just, I haven't heard the other two.
Take the guess.
Presuming to know your answers.
I wonder why you're all good at poker, Shawnee.
Showing my cards before they need to be shown. No, I'm going to say Bale because I think that the question we had earlier. How do we find a striker that's willing to play the role that he's not going to get all the game time, but that can also, when he steps in, do a job that we can rely on to step up. And and for me, Bale is a perfect solution for that. He's not the long-term solution, obviously, but for the next season, he'd be a perfect solution. And then by the time that season's played out, we will know whether Harry Kane's staying for the rest of his career or whether he's moving on. and we'll have a little bit more time to figure out and find the long-term kind of the next Harry Kane. So, but for right now, I think that Bale is the obvious answer. But like I said, I still would have Eriksen, but way down the list of signings.
Philip, where do you feel? Bale, was that someone you'd actually take back?
Well, if I was a manager, I wouldn't take either of them back. But I think of the two, I would take Bale back purely because you saw what he did against Austria in the World Cup or the qualifier there. The guy still got it when he puts his mind to it. And he did score 16 goals for us last season. So, yeah, Bale. But I just saw an interesting one this evening. I had to check the date to see it wasn't still April Fool's Day. Somebody put out a report that Arsenal were interested in signing Bale for next season.
He's definitely not going there.
Also, imagine, because last season he never got to play in front of the Tottenham fans.
Imagine
him stepping out at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in front of 62,000, everyone singing Bale, Bale. It would be,
if Wales qualify for the World Cup, right, he will want a good platform to prepare for it, and we're better than back at Spurs.
Actually, that's such a good point. Maybe the answer is pending Wales qualifying, because if Wales don't qualify,
that happens in June, so there's plenty of time to sign them up and get them fit for the start of the season.
Yeah. Okay.
Dave?
Look, I would go with Bale. I'll go with Bale because I do think it'd probably save us a bit more money in that forward area. And I think you'd do well with Bale for one season as a backup to Kane. Just get injured, and if we were in Champions League, the guys are proven Champions League goal scorers. So for me, I'd prefer Bale, and plus I love Bale. I love him.
One of these players, Dave, just had a great performance, man of the match performance for the Yellow Submarines in southern Spain. The other just had an equalizer against the Spammers. If you had to take one back, you have to take one back. Which one do you take back, Dave?
I'm sorry, Jack, but I'm not taking any back. I'm not doing it.
Dave, the gun is to your
head.
head.
You have to take one back.
Play the game, Dave. Play the game.
You take the bullet instead. You take the bullet instead.
I'd take the bullet. Look, right, I'm just going to make one thing clear. I don't want either back. Never do. I never want to see any of them in the Spurs jersey again. For the sake of participating in the game, I'd probably take Dembele back because he gives me a few more laughs, to be honest with you. He gives me a load of new nicknames and everything else. So I'd probably take Dembele back just on that basis.
Yeah, just for the humor. Philip, who are you taking back?
Now, this is more or less based on what I was watching tonight in the West Ham game. And like David, I don't think I want either of them back at the club. But if the gun was put to me head, I would go for Dembele. Because he showed tonight that there's a footballer in there somewhere. And Leon seemed to have extracted it because he played very well tonight. He was probably, I'd say, if close to being man of the match. And purely on that basis alone, I would go for him. But again, I don't really want either of them back.
And plus, Dembele done more for Spurs than what Lo Celso did.
Yeah. I was going to say, on the basis that it's a tough one because, like everyone else, don't want either of them back. But I don't remember Lo Celso doing anything for Tottenham. I remember Ndombele having some magical moments. I remember the first goal when he put that through ball against Liverpool when we drew 2-2.
Yeah.
That through ball that he put through underneath Harry Kane's foot. There's
a better highlight package.
But there was a highlight package. You could find a highlight package for Ndombele. You couldn't for Lo Celso. However, I'm actually going to say Lo Celso because Lo Celso never disrespected the club, whereas Ndombele, when he got subbed off and he trudged off the pitch when we were losing, I forget who the game was against. Who was it against? Morecambe. That's right. Yeah. That to me was there's no coming back from that. So
when you dribbled it out of bounds against Leeds, you don't think that was, disrespectful to the club?
That
midfield 2 of him again and Winks against Patrice de Ferreira, that performance was disrespectful.
No, maybe, but there's a slight.
Some of the free kicks were pretty disrespectful to the club as well. Some of the corner kicks were pretty.
They were disrespectful. Lo Celso's corner kicks.
He can't get the ball off the ground. He's like he's playing one of those under 5 games where you can't go above knee height.
Yeah.
If you were to take offense from someone's professional football ability, Lo Celso could offend you, I would say. Like, you would
What drives
actually
me mad,
genuinely
right?
feel offended by that guy sometimes. I genuinely, like I said, I watched him against Bayern, and he was unbelievable against Bayern. But that's why he is an enigma. He can be the most confusing
He likes
player.
playing in the sun. I don't think he
Yeah.
likes the weather.
But players
yes,
like
no.
these two, right? They're the first ones to come out and talk about the criticism they get off fans, and fans are talking about them, whatever else. It's disrespectful. But half of their performances, if not most of them for Tottenham, have been disrespectful. Like Jack said, most of the things they've done in the Tottenham jersey is disrespectful.
Yeah. True.
Number 4, who's more needed in this squad? A prime Vertonghen or a prime Dembele? You could get that prime left-sided center back. You know, that sounds nice and tasty. Or you could get maybe a Moussa Dembele and a Højbjerg, a Moussa Dembele and a Bentancur, add that into the midfield mixture. I think neither answer is wrong here. But Sean, who do you go for? Prime Vertonghen or prime Moussa Dembele for next season?
Oh, I would go for prime Vertonghen.
Fix the defense.
Although, did Vertonghen ever play in a back three?
Didn't he?
He played more on the left side of a back four, didn't he? The left centre back of a back of a.
Yeah, he usually played in the back four, but I think he played left wing back against Dortmund. I think we went to back three that night, or left back, or was it
left side of centre back? Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, actually, on the basis that I don't remember Vertonghen playing in a back three.
He plays it for Belgium. He plays back three for Belgium.
Yeah, true, actually, yeah.
Okay, all right then. So he's got it in his locker. All right, I'll go for Vertonghen. Super Yan. Just because I want to see him score a goal and do that again.
Yeah.
Love it.
That was a brilliant celebration.
Especially if he had that similar header that Ben Davies had, would have been a better celebration. You know, definitely would have been a better celebration.
Yeah, 100%.
Vertonghen or prime Moussa Dembele?
First of all, I want to say, Jack, these extra time questions tonight are fairly evil. Do you know what? See, Jack, I actually love them both. I really love them both.
Think about next season, Dave. What are you looking for next season? Do you want that prime, perfect central midfielder, that tempo setter, that ball carrier, or do you want that beautiful left-sided center back?
Yeah, if I'm going on the squad we have now, I definitely think Jan Vertonghen will be a better fit. But could you imagine Dembele and Bentancur together?
Yeah. It's where I don't know. You could say it's where football is made. It's where football babies are made. That sort of midfield. Philip, what do you go for? Vertonghen?
I go for Moussa Vertonghen. No, I think purely for the organizational skills and the calmness he brings to the defense, I go for Vertonghen. And that's no offense to Dembele, but he is an absolute baller. He was, he was actually irreplaceable.
Yeah,
probably never will be.
Only on the present setup, Vertonghen.
You'll never get a player like Dembele again. He's a rarity, that guy.
Put it like this: if we didn't have Bentancur in the side at the moment, it would have been Dembele I would have picked.
Yeah.
That's actually interesting to say. You could say that, like, Vertonghen, maybe you could get like Bastoni. You sort of have something a bit similar. Maybe there may be some other ones out there. Pau Torres could maybe be a bit similar to like about Vertonghen as well. But could you really find another Moussa Dembele? Probably not. Maybe that's the real answer. Faz Radfar saying, question for the panel: is Kane replaceable?
No.
If you want to replace Kane, you've got to bring in 3 players and form an attacking unit. It's that simple. Kane is not replaceable.
I forget, Dave. What did you say your transfer budget would be to replace him? I think you said 300 million or so.
Look, if you were to sell Kane for whatever money you sell him for, all that has to be shelled out on players to make one attacking unit.
Sean, to answer my question there, what would you think would be suffice enough to replace Kane? 200
What's
million?
the money? Like, because everyone's got a price. What is the price for him?
Like, let's say he's sold, but what would it take to replace what Kane gives you, do you think? Like, how much would you need to spend, do you think?
Oh, yeah. Well, every penny of whatever you get plus an extra 50, 60 million.
So what would that be?
Yeah,
maybe
250 million probably.
250 million to be safe. I kind of agree with that.
I still don't think you're going to do it. I still don't think you're going to find. I genuinely think that guy is not only is he the greatest goal scorer in the world. I think he's the greatest number 10 in the world. I don't think there's How much is Kevin De Bruyne worth? 100 million?
Yeah, I'd say around that.
Right. And how much is Mbappe worth? Or how much is or take your pick, right? You've got both of those players in one. The only problem is that he can't be in two places at once. He can't pass the ball and also finish his dinner. So he can't do both. But he is just irreplaceable. He's priceless. Absolutely priceless.
If you sell Kane, you need to buy 2 strikers and you need to buy a cam as well. That because you not only are you taking away the goals he scores, which you're going to need 2 players to be able to chip in and get them, but you're also taking the amount of assists that he pushed through for Sonny, for other people, like Shawnee was alluding to. So you're talking at least 3 players.
Yeah, but I still don't think that I still don't think, how much you buy those 3 players. You buy 3 top class players, world class players in those positions. Each of them are going to want 250 grand a week. Harry Kane's only getting 250 grand a week for himself, right? So
yeah,
how much it's going to cost you more money than we have. There's no point in saying. Yeah. The only problem is that if he doesn't sign another contract, you've got a real problem next summer. His valuation then goes down to 50 million. And then what do?
We get the right signers this summer and we keep Conte. Kane signs a new contract.
How much do you pay him a week?
Whatever he wants, whatever he's asking for. He's the best player in world football right now.
How much is Mo Salah asking for?
450 a week.
Fucking hell. Well, if he gets it, Harry Kane surely gets that, right?
Yeah. Easy. Look, Harry Kane, you'd easily pay up to about 500k a week. He's like the best player in world football right now. All-round player, Harry Kane is the best. Yeah. So you pay him the best wages.
25 million a year.
I like it.
It's
William, 500k a week. That's unbelievable.
Nobody's worth 500k a week.
No, Harry is. I mean, Sean, you're getting the haircut. You're getting the physique, lad. Yeah. You're getting the goals, the assists. You're getting the whole package, lad.
He might need to be a bit better, in commercials. He might need to be a bit better commercials. Be 500k a week. William Kelly says, "I can see Lukaku going back to Inter and Martinez coming to Spurs." That's an interesting idea, William, because they need to maybe fund, bringing Lukaku back. They bought Lukaku. I guess, if Inter didn't waste it all, didn't waste all that 100 million that Chelsea spent, then they probably could just get him back for 30, 40 million. But it wouldn't be a bad idea to, just get Lukaku back basically for free, have someone spend 40 to 50, 60 million on Lautaro, bring back Lukaku for 40 million. Wouldn't be a bad way to fund it. I actually could see that happening. Not even just for Spurs, just anybody gets Martinez. That sort of, maybe kind of funds the Lukaku deal. I mean, Sean, do you see that sort of happening? I actually don't think that's actually out of the realms of possibility.
Not a bad idea.
Because he wants to leave Chelsea by the looks of it. Inter would be happy to have him back, I would reckon, unless Inzaghi doesn't want him back. And then Lautaro Martinez is always being rumored with leaving, so maybe if Lautaro leaves, that could actually trigger Lukaku coming back.
You know what though? Like, if you can get Lautaro Martinez, you could probably get Memphis Depay. Personally, if you look at Depay's stats,
I'd rather Depay.
He's over his entire career, he's scored a goal every other game, and he's assisted a goal every 3 games, which is like Heung-min Son form. And he's done it. I know he did it in Lyon and Barcelona. Lyon, obviously not the same strength of league, but he's done it in the Champions League consistently as well. And I think that he would be more willing to play a little bit more of a bit part role. So for me, I'd probably rather have Depay than Martinez. But I like where William Kelly's thoughts are going. That doesn't make sense. But for me, I wouldn't really want Martinez ahead of like I say, the Memphis Depay would be my pick of those kind of caliber names.
Do Lukaku a favor, I guess, William Kelly. You're doing Lukaku a favor with that one, my man. Pick yourself up. Should become his agent. You should become his agent. It's a good idea. William Kelly saying, imagine Dembele beside Bentancur. Like I said, it's, where football babies would be made. William Kelly, my man. It's absolutely beautiful. It just sounds like, it sounds like a romance of any kind. Big up though, William. Like, again, that kind of Lukaku deal. And then Dark Sun G saying, imagine a prime Dembele. People really liked that one. Imagine a prime Dembele with Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Skip, and Bentancur, learning from a winner and the best midfielder of his time, Yaya Toure. That will be a scary combination, in my opinion. I mean, Pride Dembele with that list of other midfielders just be beautiful, because you just put Dembele with Højbjerg, it's beautiful. You put Dembele with Skip, it's beautiful. Put Dembele with Bentancur, it's beautiful. Just be perfect, kind of mix of midfielders there. But maybe something we haven't ever spoken about is Yaya Toure at the club. Philip, maybe I think give an interesting answer. Do you have any thoughts and any strong opinions about Yaya Toure being a coaching role at the club, Philip?
Yeah, I think it's a great move because Yaya Toure is a winner. Antonio Conte is a winner. Surround yourself with winners and it rubs off on the team. And that's why we should be getting guys like that in to share their experiences with the young lads and the more experienced ones that haven't really won anything, to what it's like to win titles and get the itch to go and win titles. I think it's a brilliant move. It really is.
And plus, you have people then at the club then that can ask that question, then that gets them wondering, gets them thinking that then they might start bringing the best out of themselves, living life properly to be able to go and win them titles if they ask him what the feeling is like and stuff like that. Yeah. And just to get the general talk of titles, or trophies around Tottenham Hotspur would be good.
Yeah,
agreed.
Yeah, no, it's a great move. You could bring in some guy that's been maybe working his way up through the leagues and has never won a thing in his life, maybe except the Intertoto Cup or something, or some minor competition. Yaya Toure has won the lot, and and plus the fact that, he's what would you say? He would be an immense source of knowledge, not only winning things, but the dark arts. So I'll keep going back to this. We've got to become a team full of shithousery.
Yeah.
We don't want to be nice anymore. And Yaya Toure could never be accused of being nice. He, that guy knew how to get stuck in. And that's the type of player, the type of staff we want at Tottenham.
Yeah.
To rub off on the players eventually.
Spot on.
I think he'd be a great influence on Bentancur. I would say Yaya Toure really would be a great influence on him.
Yeah.
But really do appreciate it, Dark Sun G. And I like to see that everybody liked that Dembele versus Vertonghen question. But Dave, passing it off to you. Yet again, another Kinnick answer me done and wrapped up.
Yeah, that's it. Really enjoyed that one, Jacko. Some great questions. And like I said, I think extra time was a bit mean, to be honest with you, on all of us. I do think it was evil. But look, it's that time of the evening, so we'll let people start.
Penalties now? Are we going to penalties now if that's for extra time, no?
Yeah. Probably could have time to shoot out after that one, to be fair. But look, Shawnee, where can people find you, my man? I have been putting your channel link in the whole way through the show, and same as flatcapeurotalk. So
thank you, mate. Yeah, you guys can find me at Spurs Talk Show on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. I think I've got maybe 10 subscribers until I get to 800 or something. So I'm on the push. Six subscribers till I get to 800. So I'm on the march. It's happened really quickly, in no small part thanks to the beautiful community at the Irish Hotspur. So yeah, if anyone hasn't already subscribed, would love it if you could click on the link and just show some love that way. And on my channel, you can find morning walks with my dog, where I talk things, whatever's going on in the world, and get stuff off the Tottenham chest as a monologue. And then also occasionally you'll find me doing panel shows and playing games and talking about whatever's happening in the world of Tottenham. But obviously, more often than not, you can find me on the Irish Hotspur right here. It's my second home.
And you know what, guys? The reason why you should subscribe to Shawnee is, to be fair to the guy, he's come into a Tottenham community where you would say it's already crowded, and you're kind of thinking, between all the channels, what more sort of content is there left to do? Well, Sean's found that, and he provides something completely different to anybody else out there, guys. So make sure you do get over there and smash that subscribe button. And what I will say to everybody is, there's always one who hasn't. So I want to see it at least go up by one, because there's always one who has not subscribed. And that's what I've learned from this period. So at least, even if we can get one to help him out, guys, smash that subscribe button. But Jacko, where can people find you?
Everybody find me over on flatcapeurotalk. I guess what I could plug is, again, the Frank Lampard video could not come truer and truer. The more that each passing week, each passing game happens, every interview he gives, I just look for the patterns that I was talking about. So I would say, if you haven't seen the Frank Lampard one, do check out that one. We talked about free transfers, so I would say check out that video on free transfers that will go under the radar. And then as well, I would say check out maybe the up-and-coming Conrad Limer. Definitely going to be doing a Conrad Limer scout report. Darius loves him, so I've definitely heard of him before. And then we also will be going on those videos that I did a bit of a vote on. Sorry that I kind of took a bit of a break, just kind of catching up on stuff over here. But everybody, always content over on Black Cap Euro Talk. But I would say, like David said, as always, there's someone that can't subscribe. There's always, I think, a video that someone hasn't watched on that channel. So definitely check it out.
And there's one up there about the goalkeeper, Sam Johnstone, I believe.
And there's a Sam Johnstone one. Like I said, there's always a video someone hasn't seen that I think you probably would be very happy that is in the collection.
Look, guys, the transfer rumor, the transfer mill is coming up around the corner, or the transfer window. Sorry, guys. So get over there and smash that subscribe button. It's absolutely everything you will need to know on any player. Where he's from, his age, his best attributes, plus highlight reels. So, guys, do get over there and smash that subscribe button. Shawnee, you've gained 2, which is it's going, which
Thanks,
is
guys.
good. But look, the one and only, the Godfather as well, my man. Anything you want to say to Spurs fans, or even put your own Twitter or whatever if you want people to talk to you.
Like you find me on here on a Monday night in the fan show, and then the other show that you want me on, and you now also find me every Tuesday night in Darky Kelly's in Dublin playing in my band, which is great.
Nice.
First time back after 2 years there on Tuesday night. So, so I have a busy few weeks ahead of me, but no, Saturday night, 5:30, Tottenham beat the Villa, game on, championship, Jesus, top 4 beckons, and I'll be over at the Brighton game on Saturday week with Alli.
No, absolutely. I absolutely love it. Make sure you get over there and sing us on to victory. Philip, you deserve it after that Wolves fiasco, so hopefully we can get the win for you. But I have pictures of Philip, driving home down the motorway, absolutely delighted with himself, beaming smile on his face after giving the drums a good going over. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. But geez, between Philip and Sean and my vocals, we nearly have a band. Jack, would you play the triangle or something like that?
We've got Brad.
We'll find some use in me. We'll find some
Brad
use.
And Ben play guitar as well, so there's a band in here somewhere,
Yeah.
Yes, we have a Tottenham band. We do. We definitely have a Tottenham band. So
get playing at half time on the pitch sometime.
If we ever win something, we can form a marching band down Tottenham High Road. That'd be absolutely brilliant.
Awesome.
I want to say a massive thank you to everybody for tuning in. You have all been absolute legends from start to finish. We really do appreciate it. And I really do appreciate everybody who continues to help this support this channel financially. It's absolutely at the center of everything myself and Jack do here. I mean, really, really do appreciate it, guys. And you will see next season that we will constantly be getting better and improving. William Kelly says, Jack, will I get 5,000 a week for being Lukaku's agent?
I don't know what Mino Raiola pays himself these days, actually. I feel like Mino Raiola, whenever he does his taxes, he's probably, actually quite surprised, how much he's able to finagle, out of, a certain, free contract. And with all the free contracts that are coming up, Mino Raiola is probably having one of the best, years of his life, I would actually say. So $500K a week is actually within the realms of possibility, is my answer to you, William. Play your cards right. You just might be, a Mino Raiola in the future.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Big up, William, my man. And I hope things are keeping well. Hopefully you're enjoying the Spurs buzz, and we'll see you tomorrow for Can He Answer Me, or not Can He Answer Me, Stats with Jack, if anyone's tuning in. And Vignesh N says, in Conte we trust, top 4 coming. Come on, you Spurs. Love from India. Look, big up, my man. For everyone that tunes in from India, big yourselves up. Hopefully I didn't butcher your name, but it sounds good in my accent anyway, so we'll stick with that from now on. And of course, it's in Conte we trust, my man. You want to take my ending before I even get there. Big yourself up, lad. Absolutely love it. He basically just, shut up, guys, get off. But big up, my man. I appreciate the support. Everybody, we will see you back here tomorrow for Stats with Jack, and then Saturday for the pre-match build-up and the watch-along as we head to Villa Park and hopefully keep the top 4 in our own hands. Until then, stay safe. Come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust. And thank you to the magnificent panel today and all you guys out there. See y'all back here tomorrow.
Come on, you Spurs.
Bye.
And
Come on, Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.